Now we're going to go into the first topic, and we're going to start off hot with Infrared and Jackson Hinkle were both recently banned from Twitch due to the spreading of misinformation on the platform. This was revealed after a Financial Times article came out covering them and other people who were spreading information that was endorsing the invasion of Ukraine from the Russian government, and also, according to Twitch, and I'll say even according to me, spreading misinformation. So my question is to the room: should pro-Russia content be banned on YouTube and Twitch? And when I say that, I specifically mean content, like not just content is like, wow, Russia's cool, but content is like, yeah, let's invade Ukraine. You get the idea. And so we're going to start with Jeb.
Yeah, so while I don't support anything they shared, and I do think that, it's a moral good that they aren't sharing it on the platform. I don't support anybody getting banned for misinformation simply because when you set the precedent for misinformation, you give the, purveyor of that TOS the authority to decide what is misinformation and what isn't. So I don't think it's a good precedent to set, because whoever's in charge just gets to decide whatever misinformation is, and they can ban people based upon it. This is one of the less controversial situations, of course, because it was a little easier to verify, but I don't like the gray areas that it can create. So I don't support that they were banned for that reason, but I also don't support what they were saying, and I'm somewhat glad that they're not saying it anymore.
Okay, I'm going to now throw it over to Kevin Logan.
Yeah, firstly, it was very, very funny that Haz and Infrared got banned. Fuck both of them. I enjoyed it enormously. Their tears are delicious. Secondly, as to publishing pro-Ukrainian stuff or pro-Russian stuff, if someone generally wants to take the position that they're on Russia's side, I don't particularly have a problem with that. But it's people who are obviously bad faith actors, obviously like paid shills, doing straightforward disinformation written by... Essentially, watching one of their streams, you might as well just go and watch Russia Today. It was just a Russia Today press release in human form, which is of no use to anybody and actively can do harm. So, yeah, I'm fine with them being banned. Fuck them.
Over to Mythic.
Yeah, I think it sets a dangerous precedent in times of war, especially after 60 years of a Cold War, about just a baseline level of anti-Russian rhetoric, to outlaw police or ban speech that's sort of affirming the Russians' right to police their own sphere of influence. However, I think that that claim stops at overt misinformation, which could foment violence. There's a conversation to be had of where that line is. But again, broadly speaking, policing anti-war, you could, if you want to couch it as it's not really, it was a low-key pro-war, just for the wrong side. I think that it's a sort of a slippery slope, deciding where and when we want to police speech that's relating to the values and the virtues that lead to conflicts like this. So, and however they want to, so I don't know if this is like a referendum or sort of largely sort of like a sideways topic about Hinkle and Haas, but I think that there's not a lot of transparency when this happens, and it seems like Haas and Hinkle being banned at the same time effectively for different stated reasons for on and off off Twitch activities for kind of nebulous reasons. I think it sets a weird precedent. If they're going to do it, they should label it, say you contravened the acceptable position on this and you got banned. So it sets a bad precedent, and I'm not wholly against it, but I think we should be very judicious when we apply it.
Preacher.
Yeah, I agree. It does set a bad precedent. I mean, I don't know what their misinformation was that they were spreading. I always believe when it comes to anything like this, if you want to know someone's true heart, just let them talk. If you want to know what they're about, let them talk. Don't ban them. The more you ban them, they go into private with their conversations and build little pockets somewhere. Let them be out in the open so that they can be criticized and they can be challenged. But that's always been my opinion when it came to hate speech or anything like that. If you want to know someone's heart, just let them talk, because most people will eventually expose themselves, and then you can challenge them.
Okay, now I'm going to throw it over to Ranger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not for deplatforming anyone, and especially in regards to the pro-Russia content. I mean, these people that have been banned, I don't know specifically what they've been banned for, but I've caught bits and pieces of their content. I mean, these people are Looney Tunes. They're, I mean, essentially, they're borderline satirical content creators at this point. I don't think anyone reasonable or rational sees their content as like, wow, the much smaller, less aggressive country is the bad guy. There's clearly a disparity of force here. There's clearly an aggressor in this situation, and I think any rational person will see that around the world.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Rhizome.
Yeah, I mean, like the way the question was worded made me think like any pro-Russia media, so kind of threw me off. But if something is pro-Russian disinformation or misinformation, and it can't be substantiated or can be proven to be false, and spreads a pro-war narrative, then yeah, that shouldn't be out there. We shouldn't incite violence against the people without like using good information. But other than that, yeah, I don't think you can just like ban pro-Russia sentiment. Like that seems a little bit too far. Haas and Hinkle were doing the prior, not just the latter. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Stardust.
Yeah, like Rhizome said, the question that was given to me was, should pro-Russia content be banned on YouTube or Twitch? My response to that is that pro-Russian content isn't necessarily banned, and it shouldn't be. Just because somebody supports Ukraine in the Russia-Ukraine conflict doesn't mean that they're anti-Russian. And I don't think Putin and his talking points should be representative of the Russian people. The Russian people have suffered enough under his leadership, and they have a right to represent themselves without having him as their representative, even if he is the president or leader. So what is banned is content that is verified Kremlin propaganda.
Look,
there are plenty of places you can go online and check the ecosystem of disinformation that shows where different talking points come from and how propaganda is distributed among different media outlets for the Kremlin. So, yeah.
Okay, and lastly, I'll throw it over to Turk.
Yeah, so I'm usually, not in favor of banning people, especially if you kind of put the shoe on the other foot, because there's been plenty of other misinformation that's been put on many of these Twitch streamers' channels that after a while actually turns out to be false, and that they've been spreading the narrative that's not actually the fact and what's really going on in the world. So, I don't like Infrared or whoever this Hinkle dude is. I go out and do real things in the real world, so I don't follow these types of streamers. But I do believe that, as a content creator, you should be able to be streaming what you would like to stream. And if the people that are watching that type of content are gullible enough to not check their own facts and then stop watching him because he's stupid and he's spreading wrong information, that's how he should naturally be taken care of.
Okay, and that's done for intros. Does anybody want to start us off?
So Hinkle, they're usually together in the same streams, right? Or whenever they're multicasting or whatever.
They're
Haas
both
and Hinkle themselves.
No, they're not in the same stream, but usually when they're in groups, they're the same dude. I'm trying to make sure I've got the right guy.
Jackson Hinkle he's kind of like a YouTuber first, but he's got a Twitch channel and he's in the same network that Haas is. Same with he's in the Caleb Maupin network. If you know them.
Has anyone ever seen them in the same room together? Are we sure they're not the same person?
Well, Hinkle has all of his hair, so.
I think Hinkle has a normal height.
Yeah.
I do want to clarify that as much as I am against banning,
I know who this guy is.
I'm not a fan of Haas. I don't know Hinkle, but every time I've seen Haas, all I've ever seen was some dude ready to blow a vein out the side of his head yelling at a microphone. And I just...
That's what made him
I've
content.
never been impressed.
That's what made him content, though.
I guess there's enough people that want to see an angry guy screaming. I don't know.
But that's,
I challenge you. I challenge you to watch a Haas stream and not enjoy it. Go ahead and try.
Oh, he said
it's such a good hate watch, dude.
I can't deny that he's a great entertainer, but some of the stuff that he says it is stuff that's been
It's-
like verified,
it's
like
not just-
talking points.
Yeah, it's
So,
not
I mean, yeah, you
It's
had
not
like
just
an hour and a half
misinformation.
conversation with him about the Mariupol Children's Hospital, right, Stardust?
Yes.
And he just
And he
straight
like
up
fully believed that that was a false flag committed by like the Azov battalion
Yeah,
to like
well,
spread anti-Russian sentiment, right?
Well, he
any
said
footage he sees, it's 100% manufactured, cut,
And it's-
like not generously to the Russians.
Yeah,
et
yeah,
cetera.
the photoshopping, actors.
And it's-
like one thing I would say is that like whether you want whether you would want and I do think that there is some value in having a platform out there that allows all speech on it. Whether we value that or not, it's still up to Twitch themselves as a platform to determine
Yeah.
what speech they allow on their
this is the
platform
thing,
and what speech they want representing them.
It's not just misinformation though, because Haz has been going around like saying, "I'll fly to Australia or Argentina to fist fight people in the street." Like he's been threatening violence against people, which is obviously illegal. Like you can't do that.
Yeah, that's the issue with the lack of.
that I never had,
Yeah,
So.
that's the issue with the lack of specificity. But if we're pointing straight at like the pro-Russia propaganda, it's this instance makes it tough to have the conversation because it is so easily verifiable misinformation. So if you were going to provide like a great commercial for banning people based on misinformation, this would be your token incident. My issue is the precedent that it sets in other circumstances. For example, like when Twitter was banning and suppressing, and I know I don't care about this story at all, and it's a right-wing talking point, but the Hunter Biden laptop story, they were suppressing it. They weren't allowing people to access it through their platform. Regardless of how significant you find it, it turned out to be true. But they were suppressing it based on the idea that it was misinformation. And so you're giving that weapon to Twitch in a circumstance where I think marginalized communities have accused Twitch of not being for them, non-marginalized communities have accused them of not being for them, and so why would you give that kind of weapon to a platform? And I know they can do whatever they want, but I'm assuming this debate is whether we think they should, I don't think they should.
Can you just clarify, when you say the Hunter Biden laptop story is true, what do you mean by that? Because I heard like he had like child porn on there and the phone number of the Chinese prime minister who he gets billions of dollars from. Like, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
That part of it's
So
completely
they
bullshit.
were
What's true
suppressing-
is he had a fantastic penis, and the fucking the sublimated the repressed liberals over at Twitter didn't want to let that fly. They didn't want to let it fly, and they went so far as to silence and a very esteemed a paper of record in the New York Post, probably pound for pound the best newspaper to ever do it, getting absolutely silenced on Twitter. I think it's reprehensible, and I don't think that we should see this action repeated on Twitch.
Silencing the
Dangerous
shaft.
for the woman on
Can't
that
do it.
site to see Hunter Biden's cock. Look, he's.
It was
just not-
dangerous for Biden's
he's not a
campaign
really
because
fat- I
yeah, the
mean,
cock
you know.
was so heavy it was going to.
I'm going to suppress this conversation and let's move forward.
I mean,
Can
this
I
is
get
all about
clarification real
misinformation.
quick? Can
But
I get
yeah,
some
so-
clarification? When we talk Haas, like, so on the right you have the QAnon stuff. Is Haas like the? I know he's pro-communism. Is he like the communist version of QAnon or something?
He essentially
Pretty much.
completes the
Yeah.
political horseshoe and links the chains. He's like he makes it like a political Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
he's a conservative communist. Like he believes in creationism. He has very tradcon values, but he
Mhm.
also is
All right,
communist.
so if I take it,
eating stone tail, basically.
Yeah.
all right, so
he
if
did-
I take it like that, okay, being a conservative, obviously I saw the QAnon stuff when it first started coming out, and at first it's like, oh well, that's interesting, but then you start looking at it, you're like, well, this is a bunch of horse crap. Oh, she's gonna get arrested. He's gonna get, and nothing's happening. So I would imagine like let the misinformation fly so they can look like the ass that they really are. I mean, if you're gonna buy into all this stuff and then repeat it, you're the one that's gonna look like the fool at the end of the day. And I think we ought to be able to look at them and say, "You're a fool."
Yeah.
Yeah, I
honestly,
think that this is sort of a like I would say that arguably what they did as far as misinformation on like COVID or an active pandemic is more damaging because there's a public element to deciding whether or not to get a vaccine or not. But with this, the public doesn't really dictate the policy set forth by the fucking Department of State anyways. We can't say yes or no our way or I don't like that. This is trending on Twitter. That doesn't really affect the action that the policy take or the Department of State and the generals take. So that's to equate the one thing with the other. Yes, misinformation is harmful, but when people are sort of removed from the levers of power, deciding when and where we go to war, I don't think that it's So basically, what we're doing is you're just removing inconvenient opinions that you don't like, which make an aesthetic that makes what you're trying to promote harder, and it's not the same as actual harmful disinformation, i.e., again, like the COVID-19 stuff.
And that's always been my thought on when we talk about like hate speech and stuff, like who sets the bar on what is what, and then like if I'm pro removing this, then how long before that turns around and comes back and bites me in the ass and something of mine's getting removed? And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is such a travesty, you know? Like, who sets the
but
bar?
an
additional caveat to this conversation too is how important it would be for Twitch to just decide to fucking give people the specific reasoning or at least a timestamp for why they were banned. Because like KF Logan said, they could have banned him for direct calls to violence. None of us would have a problem, be completely non-controversial, but they won't tell us. So if they timestamped like one of the times he said, "I'm going to fly over to Australia and whip your ass in a video game," then like we'd know exactly what they were banned for, and it could save us all the conversation. But there's no transparency.
As to Preacher's point about what is and isn't acceptable, that's not like a new problem. That's been around since, well, human civilization, basically.
Right.
Like if you go back in American history, you've got things like McCarthyism and the kind of religious repression of ethnic minorities and religious minorities and stuff. Like that's not a new thing. It's not, and I'm not saying you were saying that necessarily, but a lot of people act as if it's political correctness gone mad, etc., etc. And it's not that. It's that society consistently changes, and where the parameters for what the Overton window is obviously change with it.
Well, political correctness feeds directly into that, right? If the Overton window is more conservative, as it switches more to the left, that is in fact a political correctness shift.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it hasn't had an impact. I'm just saying the idea that political correctness is the thing that's caused this social tension, when that social tension is always and will always be there. Because freedom of speech doesn't mean you get to say absolutely anything. It's
a source of modern tension. I would say that's the case.
Well, yeah, but if it wasn't that, it would be something else. Look, this is not something that's new, that's ever going to change. The idea that there are going to be some things that are acceptable to say and some things that aren't will always be there.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, this is like really, if you look at this, it's really like, do you think that Twitch has the right to determine what's the best practice for their business, right?
Right.
And at the end of the day, I think, yeah, you know what? As a business, they have the right to determine if a certain type of speech is reflecting badly upon their business and they don't want it on their platform. That is their right to do that, to take that type of speech off. Do I think that there's value in having a platform where anything can be said and anything goes? Yeah, sure. Why not? But Twitch isn't that platform.
Well, that's the thing. If the Conservatives out there want to support the nationalisation of these platforms, yeah, I'm all for it, comrades. Definitely.
No, like I don't.
Again, there's a problem in the reporting mechanism, because who's reporting who said what when? Is it algorithmically inferred? Are they taking the captions and then doing machine learning and AI to scrub through them, i.e. what YouTube does? I don't think they are. I think they're using reporting so that way unpopular opinion will be unpopular opinion, or people with unpopular, uncharismatic people like Haas, more polarizing figures, are going to be under more scrutiny, number one. Yeah. And there's not transparency in how and when they do it, and for the reasons why, and what you said. So much like how YouTube doesn't delineate where the line is for what is and isn't permissible speech, because they feel people are going to game that line more. Yeah. I think that you're going to get a problem with Twitch where people, if and when they do have some sort of transparency, you're going to get people saying anything but. And another tangential problem with this is that there is well, go ahead. Sorry.
One thing I have two things. So first thing, very quick, I want to separate, because I know people on the right do this a lot, so it's been adopted by both sides. The whole, like, they have a right to moderate who's on their platform. Of course, right? Capitalism says everybody has a right to do what they want with their platforms, but it's also important to separate the conversation and what do they have the right to do, and what should they do, and what do we as the market think they should do, because in capitalism, it's important to respond to your market to make sure you're the most palatable platform possible, but also doing what you set out to do. And I know Twitch didn't set out to be a politics platform, but I still don't think they should ban people on based on misinformation, even though they have the right to.
It's capitalist dynamics at play, because the Financial Times have come out with this, which means that Has and Infrared and various of these other channels are now economic lead weights. They're just going to pull the
I'm just saying,
down
like,
with the advertising.
I'm just saying,
so
like,
they're going to get rid of them.
Of course, we know they have the right to do it. I don't know that that's the most interesting conversation to have, as to if they have the right to do it. I want to know if people think they should do it, and then that's really where I think the conversation goes off. Because yeah, if it's do they have the right to do it? Objectively, we all say yes. We move on to another topic. But
yeah, ultimately, we're just giving our opinions if we think this is a virtuous activity, what Twitch is doing, or if it's useful, or if it's even going to do any good. What does policing anti-Russian sentiment or pro-Russian sentiment even actually do? Especially when we don't really have a say of who does what when, especially militarily.
Yeah, and as a conservative dude, the hard right, the extreme right, fucks me more than anybody else here, right? The fucks the conservatives more than anyone else here, because that's who we're portrayed as everywhere we go.
Yeah.
We want that shit to be shut down as much as anybody else, but the issue is they use that we're being suppressed, we're being shut down, they don't even want to hear the truth aspect of things to promote their views on other platforms. And I get what Mythic was saying with, like, we might have a lot more line stepping once you draw the line. But we kind of have that now with people saying, okay, like white creators can't drop an N-bomb, the black creators can. You can say kill somebody as long as you say in a video game after. Like all that, we kind of have the line steppiness already.
Jeb,
I think clarity would only help.
All right, so can I ask a quick question? So if we can confirm that Twitch has a significant viewership, or just even like Hawes's viewership, like 1,000 people maximum, who are digesting and disseminating misinformation or like proven disinformation, do we think that that is something that should be off the platform? I would say, yeah, this is a platform, like this is information, this is part of the information culture that we're in. So I think that if we're putting out bad information, this is a vector through which it can spread, and that should be something that we control. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And
is that for me or for everyone?
Well, I was just going to say, as to the point that Dylan was making earlier about not taking what we say as like the only source, there are unfortunately a lot of younger people who will listen to idiots like Haz, who speak with an authority and a confidence about their approach. They're very entertaining, they're very charismatic in many respects, and they will just listen to that and they'll go along with the bullshit. And again, it's not information, this is just an RT press release dressed up as a human being.
Right, but for every one Haas, there's 10 people combating Haas. I'd say the number's even greater, 50, 100. I mean, the take is just so astronomically out there. It's just unfathomable, even for a young and impressionable person. We just talked about this last week in regards to Destiny and debating the Groypers.
Yeah, but lots of people do believe it. Lots of people buy into it, even though the information proving it to be incorrect is out there. They don't go and seek it out. They're not
but would those people probably seek him out on Cozy anyway? That's the thing, is like we all know Haas because we've seen him repeatedly get called out on his beliefs and trumped by actual reason. But the people who are just going to believe him wholesale, I feel like, and that's not to like take from your point, but I feel like they're going to find him on Cozy. If he's the guy that they want to hear, they're going to find him wherever he's at. Whereas if we let him get
let's drive him
down in the public square,
let's drive him into the darkest corner we can then, with the smallest audience we can possibly get for him. Yeah.
I understand that, right?
I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. I was almost on that fucking panel the other night with Destiny and Haas and Provoke Brittany and Nick Fuentes. Provoke Brittany messaged me. By the time I saw it, Fuentes had already popped off or whatever on Cozy TV, and I would have been seen by the 6,000 or so people on DGG and the 3,000 people watching Politically Provoked. He would have gotten fucking signal boosted to all the like the worst actors, all the Groypers with whom he has the most overlap. So it's sort of like a perverse ancillary or a lateral Barbara Streisand effect, where you take him from a gigantic network like Twitch, which is more fractionated, to a more a smaller network that has more overlap in between the streamers, i.e. anybody that's live has thousands of viewers because the Nick Fuentes orbiters have nowhere else to go. They're marshaled there. So I think that if you do in fact push him there, it's going to signal boost him. And I think that there's a utility for me on the left. I feel like there's a utility for someone like Haas being there. And I got to tell you, him being gone, I feel very exposed as the fucking most base fucking uncivil communist on Twitch. Fucking twitch.tv/mythicpolitics. Yeah. But also, he was there absorbing a lot of blows.
Yeah, but you're like 4 feet taller than him, though. You're fine. It's not
true.
Are we all?
Yeah, but you know what?
Here's
what my issue with this has always been, like, if you look at like let's say if you take like the white supremacist groups or the Klan or whatever, and you stifle their speech, you don't make them go away. You just make them go into this darker room where they meet in private, and you don't even know what the hell's going on now. They're planning stuff in private. Same thing here. Like, you're not going to make him. It's not like Twitch saying, "Hey, your ban is going to make him all of a sudden just shut up." He's just gonna find, and honestly, it's almost like removing the warning tags off of things. If you want to find the stupid people, let him talk. Whoever follows him, obviously they're the knuckleheads.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
to address,
okay,
I
so
wanna,
really, this is just kind of like you guys are saying, like, okay, Haas had an opportunity where he got in front of Destiny's audience, so he had more viewers. That shows that there's this reverse thing that happens that when you ban somebody, they gain momentum. I think it's just easily demonstrable that this is false. If somebody has access to every platform on the internet to spread the information that they're giving, and then you take them off of the majority of those platforms and they have a dark room to quote unquote plan their shit. By the way, they would always plan their shit in a dark room. It's not like a KKK meeting would be out here fucking planning their shit on Twitter. There's going to be less of them. No shit. I mean, like, burden of proof is really on you guys. And one example, Haas having the opportunity to talk to Destiny because they happened to get banned at a similar time, so they were streamed on YouTube, is not, you can't even say that opportunity wouldn't have happened with him being unbanned. So like, really burden of proof on you to demonstrate that like people get signal boosted by getting banned, just beyond just like a couple more people learn about them.
He was a partner on Twitch, and per that contract, it prevented him from simulcast streaming. So now he can simulcast.
Yeah, but he could have gone offline and talked to Destiny regardless.
But let me hold on. I want to, because Rhizome asked a good question before that I think we should preface our answers with, is do we think that it is good, right? That since it is demonstrably true that they were spreading misinformation, do we think it's good that they aren't able to spread that anymore? And I think that is good, but I think where maybe my more conservative way of thinking brings me is if it's good that they are off the platform and if Twitch should have the power to ban anyone who does that off the platform are two separate questions to me. And I do think it's good that they're off the platform. I agree with Rhizome. I don't think they get signal boosted by having fewer platforms to go. What I think the real problem is the other question is, what are you giving Twitch? Not what are you giving, but what are you sort of giving your endorsement to Twitch having the power to do if they decide something else is misinformation that maybe isn't as demonstrable? Maybe it's not as cut and dry. And that's why I brought up the Hunter Biden laptop story, because like you said, some of the details were wrong, and some of the pictures they were using to promote that story weren't from his laptop. They were from years ago, and those obviously were lies. But they were suppressing any mention of the laptop, any mention of the link to the article describing what might have been on the laptop, because they said it is false, and because Jen Psaki said that it was propaganda.
True, but
that's the issue: is what are you endorsing Twitch having the power to do? I don't think it's about signal boosting at all.
In terms of this solidifying of like control over like a media narrative, there is a much bigger problem than just like Twitch being able to do stuff. The fact that all newspapers are owned by like 6 companies or something, like that's a much bigger problem in terms of who controls the narrative than Twitch doing what is perfectly legal for them to do anyway, and that I don't really control, but it's still like at the very least it's something that, like you say, if it's a good thing, it seems like an odd thing to suggest that you shouldn't do the good thing.
But if I see someone getting punched in the street, I'm going to help them even though there's somebody else in another part of the world killing somebody in the street. Like, I'm still going to not give my endorsement to the thing that I am near and that I have the proximity to comment on.
But your analogy there would be, you see someone being punched and you know it would be good to stop it, but, you know, freedom means that you shouldn't really intervene in that, because who gets to say who gets punched and who doesn't get punched?
Not
like,
really.
I think we're framing this argument completely wrong. Do you consider Twitch a social media platform, or do you consider Twitch a like journalistic platform? Are you valuing the right of a business to run their business how they choose, how they deem fit, or are you framing this under a freedom of speech thing?
But
either way, the ultimate decision is made up by the business, and the business has that right to determine if somebody or something reflects badly upon their business. They have the right to put that off of their platform. This is not Twitch is not a journalistic platform. It is what I think of Twitch is a social media platform. And if somebody is on a social media platform saying crazy stuff and it's making the site look bad, then I think it is well within their rights to remove that person.
Yeah, but that's why I separated the conversation. Is I think people do this with conservatives a lot, where they're like, oh, you support free speech and companies being able to do what they want to do, so then you have to support companies doing anything they want to do ever. I don't. That's not ever how the free market was meant to operate. The free market was meant to operate that you address the fact that they have the right to do a lot of things, but you don't have to support everything that they choose to do. And I agree with what you're saying. Oh, it could, damage the brand having them on the platform, but I don't see the tangible effects of that when all it does is give them more viewers. I don't think anyone was leaving because Haas was on the platform, and it doesn't really open them up to legal liability
it
either
doesn't
because
give
Haas
them
is
more viewers.
protected by.
Haas actually had a cult-like following on
Yeah.
Twitch. He, like to say anything less of his following is just completely incorrect. He had a cult-like following. Those people were ride or die for him. They he would spam his links and get them to ratio people on Twitter. Things like this.
Yeah.
Like, he's very good at controlling his audience. He's very good at having his crowd do what he wants. And I think it's fair. If we were looking at this in some other way, sure. I don't disagree with you that there is a place. There is a need for a place on the internet where anybody can say what they want. I 100% agree with that. And I would choose to be on a platform like that if it were something that were monetizable. But that it's just not monetizable to have a platform where anything goes. Advertisers, it's not advertiser friendly. Advertisers don't that kind of stuff.
It's not just advertising though, because it's unworkable. Like every time one of these absolutist free speech, like either like a Twitter,
it's just a business
knockoff,
model.
Yeah, it doesn't really work because people don't want to be in a space where like you can just post child porn or whatever. Like if there are no restrictions on anything that a person can do on that platform, it turns into like an absolute hell site in no time.
I think you're conflating like anarchism with libertarianism. Like, we do believe in oversight.
Yeah,
it's not a free for all.
No,
Like,
but that's the
I
point. When people,
appreciate-
when these companies set up with the idea of it's absolute, there are no restrictions on anything, they always end up having to put restrictions on within the first couple of hours because people take advantage of the system.
I'm not advocating for a site that is like completely unrestricted, but if we're talking within legal limits, right? Like within the law, obviously, where people can say what they want to say without like doing things that are going to violate laws. Sure, that there's a value. There's a value to that being existing on the internet. It's just not advertiser friendly. You are not going to make money on that type of website. Same thing with Twitch. Twitch is they're caring about their bottom line. They're caring about their image. And if an advertiser sees that they are friendly towards like pro-Kremlin propaganda and it makes them look bad, of course they would want to remove that person, and they would want to protect their brand identity, and they would want to protect their advertisers.
What can I say to
and I think
pro-Kremlin, it's not just pro-Kremlin information, though. I would argue if you look at this whole thing and look at the net effect and put everything on a scatter plot, that Haas and Hinkle, and although you might say patently, objectively, a lot of what they said was misinformation, the strong undercurrent of anti-activity, anti-Western activity, the talking points about the no-fly zones, the talking points against U.S. troops in the Ukraine, the talking points against the UN, it had a sort of net effect that changed the dynamic. It's sort of like grading on a curve, and it fixed the overall conversation because there was a very, very pro-U.S. interventionist campaign on Twitch to get U.S. troops into there, and it was fucking people like me taking a lot of shit, being called a fucking Putin simp or whatever, just to try to add nuance to the situation, talking about why a no-fly zone would be bad, why U.S. troops would exacerbate this thing and make it into a protracted conflict. So
you can have those points without. The thing is, I think you should have the right to like have like points where like maybe a no-fly zone is not a good idea for such and such reasons, right? But it would be fine if those were like your points that weren't being echoed coming straight from Russia today, right?
Yeah, I think
the thing too, though, really
coming straight from Russia today.
The thing though too about what Mythic just said is that's pure speculation. You literally just said, "I bet if we plotted it on a scatter plot." Go ahead and do that, and then we'll talk about that point.
And then if you actually have Twitch or
it,
Twitter,
it was working in contravention to all the other narratives, which was staunchly pro-Ukraine. They were a different voice.
This is all from your perspective, though.
Yeah.
Like,
turn your levels up. You're quieter than everybody.
If you want to look at something,
look
like
at from
media,
Twitch's perspective. Look at from Twitch's perspective.
Wait, okay, 1 second. Let's have Stardust finish, and then throw it over to Turk, because Turk has been trying to get in there for a bit.
sorry. If you want to look at something that is like not pro-U.S. Pro-U.S. interests, you can do that without looking at pro-Kremlin propaganda. There's plenty of sources on the internet that are like anti-intervention, right? That are not like not related to the general disinformation ecosystem that comes out of Russia. The issue with Haas and Hinkle is that they not only would echo all the same talking points as Russia Today, I believe Hinkle had also like kind of dubious funding as well, did he not? And
little bit, yeah.
yeah. So sorry, I'll pass it over to Turk.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, you got to look at this really from Twitch's perspective, right? Because Stardust just jumped around, tiptoed around a bunch of different talking points for any various topic. And from Twitch's perspective, if Stardust said A, and that was deemed a Russian propaganda statement, you are now on the target list of people that should be banned from the platform when you were simply just trying to talk through a news story of something you saw on the internet. That's why Twitch needs to not really be delving into this kind of realm, because as you said earlier, Stardust, this is a entertainment platform. This is not a news-worthy outlet. Sorry, Dylan, to burst your bubble, but people come to this platform to get entertained and not really learn concrete evidence. And that's why, of course, we had that Dylan Burns, disclaimer. This entire panel is just us talking our opinions.
Yeah, and I think we should, but respect. Like she made Stardust made a strong point, but it was a strong point if you consider that supporting the right of businesses to address the profit motive and act accordingly is of utmost importance. And I think that people make that mistake about capitalists or even libertarians, that that's what we support. But like, for example, when I go to the store, right, there are a lot of brands I can buy that abide by the profit motive only. But when I buy pasta sauce, I buy it from Newman's Own because 100% of the profits go to charity. That's still a capitalist function that just happened. I, as the consumer, decided that the value I'm getting from that purchase is increased by the way that that company behaves, even though that way the company behaves doesn't directly support their profit motive. But I think you can still support Twitch's I think you can still support Twitch's right to remove these people for whatever reason they want. But I don't think they should, because not everything that goes toward the profit motive on paper is going to make me as a viewer want to watch your platform when you're weeding people out and I can't see as many ideas.
So you support the right.
Newman's Owned is the Twitch channel in this instance. If that particular brand started doing really bad things, you would then go to a different brand because that brand either represents your values or is a better value, or it tastes better and you're willing to pay the extra cost.
Facebook.
That's why the grocery store, Twitch, still offers Newman's Own even though you don't like it.
Well, no, but my thing is, right, Newman's Own, I'm making pasta sauce manufacturers are the platforms, right? I want Twitch to maybe act partially against its profit motive on paper to increase the material value that I find in their product, so I want to keep watching.
But hang on, so you support their right to do it, and you support it in this instance, but you still think they shouldn't have done it?
Yeah, I support their right to do it. I don't think that the government should ever crack down and say Twitch can't ban these people, but I also think Twitch should willingly make the same decision that YouTube made in saying that we're going to let these ideas fight it out.
See, I think you're letting ideology get in the way here, because you support their right to do it. You think it's good that they were removed.
It's very clear.
But you don't want them to do it.
You and I may not agree on everything, right? But I believe that you should be free to make whatever decision that you want to do as long as you're not hurting anyone else.
Yeah.
Well, it could be argued. That Haz is being.
I could disagree with everything in your existence.
There's multiple people talking at once.
Yeah.
Who is that addressed to, Ranger? I want to make sure that they can respond.
KF.
KF. Okay, then we'll go with the KF Logan. It says we're directed towards him.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, obviously, I have the right to do anything. But I mean, the thing I was just addressing is the two foundational points here that my friend to the left here was saying. That if you support their right to do it, and you think it's good that these people aren't on the platform anymore, so therefore it's a good thing to do to get rid of them at this point, but you still think they shouldn't do it, you're allowing ideology to be the enemy of a good thing that you support the right to do.
Well, it's liberty
No, I
versus
think-
morals and ethics.
Well, hold on. So I think that's actually a really good example of me not letting ideology get in the way, right? Because my ideology says Twitch has the right to do whatever they'd like to do, but I'm still allowing myself morally to object to their choice to do it. Despite my ideology saying that they're allowed to, I'm saying that I think Twitch should make the decision that YouTube made and allow the ideas to fight it out instead, but they're not doing so. And so I find more material value in a platform that doesn't do it. And I think if more people act that way, you can create a material profit motive to do things that don't seem on paper to serve the material profit motive, like
Well,
Stardust.
but on that
caveat here, YouTube demonetizes things.
Yeah.
So where
Yeah.
Twitch deplatforms people because they don't have the same ability to demonetize like YouTube does. YouTube has the ability to demonetize certain videos that they deem are inappropriate or not living up to their standards. And so that is the difference between those platforms. Again, I do think that there's a value in having a platform where anything goes, but you will not be able to make money on that platform. And Twitch's bottom line is being able to make money off of the advertisers, and advertisers don't want to be on a platform where disinformation is getting spread.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I think you make a
I
good...
think what
Sorry. Yeah, I've talked about it.
I think what also Jeb is alluding to is not everything is about ROI, right? Because if you don't have people to occupy the platform, then you're not going to have a return on investment, period. It's kind of like with Facebook, how, Facebook marketing just skyrocketed. And then if anyone follows finance and the New York Stock Exchange or anything, Facebook has just been down and down and down and down. It's mainly because people are deleting their Facebook and new people aren't signing up. It's the same thing where they get so far down that authoritarian rabbit hole where it's like, no, I need this for ads, this adpocalypse. And then it just goes to the point where you have no one left and now you have to invent something else.
Yeah, and I think to Stardust's point, I do think that the demonetization tool is good when used properly, but obviously there are ways that I don't think YouTube's the perfect platform. I don't think they use their discretion to the greatest extent every time, but I do think, I think you're right. YouTube has the ability to do something Twitch doesn't have the ability to do, but as a company owned by Amazon, I think maybe they should just develop a tool to be able to do that so that they can do what Stardust said and not allow advertisers to feel like they are at risk by promoting someone like Haas and Hinkle, but they can still not stifle the conversation in ways that open up a dark gray area to suppressing wide swaths of people's pretty non-controversial views if they decide that that's a misinformation, because there's just not enough data to prove that it isn't yet.
And for people on the left, there was utility that Haas and Hinkle had specifically de-radicalized people who otherwise be third positionists or Nazbols. They occupied a space that sort of absorbed those, which is not much, except that they're less genocidal and less overtly racist in their nationalism.
Actually, I disagree with that. I think Haas is actually, from all of my conversations I've had with Haas, he's somebody who very much believes in punishing people for thoughts. And he's and the very fact that he got onto that Cozy with Nick Fuentes, and I knew before they even started their conversation that they were going to agree on a whole lot of things, and they did. They ended up agreeing on a whole lot. But I've had conversations with Haas where he doesn't see the issue in punishing people for just thinking the wrong thing.
Yeah, can I just say they didn't de-radicalize anyone. They are Nazbols. Both of the people we're talking about are Nazbol filth. From start to finish, they're not de-radicalizing from third position; they're promoting third position.
Well, they're taking the white identitarian aspect out of it. So you would say that.
So it's just generally
they're
genocidal.
Decoupling numbers away from. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying I'm throwing that out there.
One thing.
It fractionates those groups, and it leads one to get in a certain threshold where they can do something.
I can give you one thing, and that one thing is that Haas brought a lot of non-white people, people who didn't identify with the typical Twitch white lefty into his space. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because again, he's very socially conservative. And he also, even beyond being socially conservative, he also, again, believes in like punishing people for thought, for the wrong.
And they're both massive misogynists as well. Let's not skirt past that.
I think
Yeah,
the
I mean, they're
question that's a little
definitely
more
don't have a lot of
interesting than just
defensible
wondering
views.
about like what is like allowed and not allowed is whether or not worse information leads to a better world. Like, is it okay for misinformation to be out there for people to digest and internalize? I think worse informed people have worse positions. People who have bad information are going to have bad positions. And so I think that on an ethical level, or rather on a moral level, from that ethical framework, it does look like it would be a good idea, or seem like it would be a good idea, to like quell that, right, and quell that spread, so we can have the most informed position and therefore the best position we can when it comes to like how we synthesize out information.
I mean, to materialize the argument, I concede to the first thing you said, which is, yeah, the people who have bad information have bad takes. But my issue is then saying that the solution is to give the power to a platform to what to do. We're acting like, oh, we're giving the power to the platform to
No. Whoa. I said it does seem as though it would be ethical to make sure that we're putting out the best information out there. I did not say a platform has the right to do whatever, should do whatever. I'm not looking at moral prescriptions in that sense. It's just like, I think we should create an environment where the best information is out there. Is that possible? Another question, right? Is there bias that plays into it when we give people the power to do things? That's a separate question. But I think that there is an ethical component to that question of whether or not bad information should be out there, right?
And who's determining the bad information?
And that's the thing. To that point, I want to concede and agree with, yes, ethically we have I think we should be looking for the best information possible on a platform. But where that connects to this conversation is saying, should we endorse Twitch's right to decide what good information is and parse it out themselves? And for the sake of this conversation, I don't agree with that, but I appreciate that that's not what you were saying, Rhizome, and I agree with what you were saying.
The framing is wrong here, because it's no one's giving them the power; they already have the power. And
I said endorsing, yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, but that's what I mean. And it's the newspaper barons of old had that same power, and whatever next stage of media, the people who own it under the current economic system will have the right to decide those things. That's not. That's just how the way it's been.
But with that logic, we shouldn't have the conversation at all.
I wonder, with that same rubric that everyone just discussed, basically, if everybody would keep the same energy if Trump bought Twitch. What if there what if there was a conservative propagandist, right populist who owned Twitch? How does that change?
Hey, wait. That's the next topic. Okay.
Here's hold on, because this is where I was actually going to go with it, in a little bit of that direction. Like, again, I'm not a supporter of Haas at all. I don't know the other guy, but I do support his right to be an idiot. Now, as far as Twitch goes, they're a business. Obviously, they have the right to do what they want, but I go by that age-old adage of just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, I have to talk to people in my chat all the time when they're getting close to toss and say, listen, you can't. Oh, well, what about my free speech? You know what? If we were standing on the street together, you can say whatever the hell you want. But I'm on Twitch's platform. I have to go by their toss. You do too. I don't want to get banned. But at the same time, I think if they were a little bit less with the ban hammer, then more people would be willing to come over here. And I really, Haas and this other guy, whatever his name was, and maybe Destiny, have said, but in the grand scheme of things, how many people are really spreading false information on Twitch? I mean, I think you do have a much bigger variety of honest streamers. Whether one of the reasons I came over here is because I can have honest conversations with left people, and I couldn't do that on Facebook. I mean, that invited me in, and I haven't seen anybody pushing. I mean, obviously I don't agree, and I'm always right, and they're not. But still, outside of that, I don't see a whole lot of false information being pushed.
All right. I mean, I think as far as this topic, I think we've all placed our bets. We've kind of put ourselves in. Does anyone?
Well, I just wanted to say,
of course,
Trump won't buy Twitch because Trump's got no fucking money. So that's
well,
no
that's
problem.
not. He was making an ethical hypothetical, but
no, I know.
Yeah.
He's got Truth Social, KF Logan. Okay, it's coming up.
Yeah, and
I
there's 6 people. Who are using it. Enjoy it. Yeah.
He's got the spam network that's the equivalent of the Nigerian princes that hit you up for the inheritance scams. He's got that same coalition power. So I think he can do it. I think he can raise the money.
You mean to tell me there's not really a community redevelopment program waiting to give me $2,500?
Classic white Rhizome making fun of Nigerians, dude.
Isn't representation the next topic?
Just the last thing I wanted to say on the topic is that I put a map in our group group chat. I'll put it in the chat as well, the stream chat. But it's basically like a map of like the whole disinformation system and stuff.
And clicking on that will put you on a CIA watch list, by the way.
I think the issue that a lot of people are having, Star, is that they are going to call into question the authority figure that like concluded on that, right? Or like the evaluative process that was used there. Like even if you
there's
link
always
that, I
a way
still think
out,
people are going to feel skeptical about it, right?
Sure.
I appreciate it though. I think I'm going to talk about it later though.
Yeah, well, this is the like, if you put out anything about, like, say, the Chinese Uyghur genocide, they'll just say, oh, well, that's Western propaganda. Like, the people who don't want to believe it are never going to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, I think we can all agree. Fuck Russia. You're never going to get
Whoa.
Kiev. Suck it.
Whoa, not Russia.
The Russian government. The Russian
Yeah.
government. Fuck
Can I
Putin
just-
and the Russian government. You're not getting Kiev. Eat my dick.
True. Also, it was very funny that ship sank.
Very funny. Yeah.
The thing is, about the ship sinking.
That's glorifying
not-
violence, isn't it?
True, it's TOS.
What's interesting about the ship sinking is it's the flagship of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, and it got sunk by a nation with no navy. There's no navy, and it got sunk.
Well,
It's like the Titanic. It's never going to sink, guys.
it's
we
the
promise.
funniest thing is it's literally called the Moscow in Russian. So
Oh yeah,
they
it's named after the capital.
They
Yeah.
sank Moscow. Amazing.
Apparently, a part of the True Cross, or at least the claimed True Cross, at least
Yeah.
by the Russians, was in it. So now that's at the bottom of the Black Sea.
And now the
I
fucking
need
fishes have it.
Haas's take on this, man, because
By the
I
way,
can't
somebody
trust
on
what you
chat
guys are
made a very
saying.
good point just now. We're all politics streamers. We're already on lists.
That's false.
I'm barely a streamer.
I'm
This
on
is
I
the
one
put
first
you
time
all
I've
on the
streamed
list.
panel.
No,
True.
I get paid.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
an
true. Look at
angel.
Dylan's whole
Dylan with
whole
his
setup
Intel
there.
Core Pro influence over here, putting us all on the master list.
Cyber attacks.
Yeah.
and
I'm not-
stuff,
I'm
yeah.
not-
Rhizome seems to be the only one equipped to secure himself, at least data-wise, from the list. Good for him.
Hey, I think Turk too. I mean, Turk is the one who provided me this
True.
computer. He was the one who gave me all of your information on the hard. Wait, I've already said too much.
I'm not on the
True.
CIA
Yeah.
list. I'm paid by the CIA. So
I thought
Okay.
Danabo
So you guys
booked
want to
us
wrap this
all.
topic up?
I
You
thought
guys want to wrap it
Danabo
up?
booked us all for
Yeah,
the
I think so, Dylan.
Probably a good
Let's wrap it
idea.
up. Everybody have outros. We're gonna start with Jeb.
Yeah, so I think I agree with everyone in the sense, fuck the Russian government. They suck. Fuck Haas and Hinkle for promoting their bullshit propaganda. I just think I draw the line in endorsing a platform's right to decide what's information and then ban based on it. But I respect everybody else's views on it as well.
Okay, next is Kevin.
I enjoy drinking the tears of Nazbol dickheads. So I was very happy that they got banned. Fuck those guys.
Free Haas, free Hinkle. They made me look good by proxy. Also, they were like a safety umbrella. They said so much patently incorrect shit to the left of me that I felt safe. But also now I feel like I'm on a limited hangout, a Nixonian limited hangout. I feel fucking exposed over here. But also, yeah, that's it.
Preacher.
Yeah. Again, I could care less about Haas. I don't know the other guy, but good for the goose, good for the gander. I don't like to see anybody being banned, even if they are idiots. But obviously Twitch has the right. Again, I just say, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Oh, is that your answer? Just yeah, or
I'm sorry. I thought you were.
yeah, you're next. I'm just yeah.
Gotcha. No, I think, whether they could and should is definitely a different conversation. I don't think that they should have been banned, but I definitely Twitch reserves the right to remove anyone from their platform since it's, financially important to them.
Next is going to be Rhizome.
Yeah, my whole take is what I said before. I think good information leads to good takes, bad information leads to bad takes. There's a question of who the like how we evaluate what good and bad is. That's something that we can definitely have. The influence of capital is definitely going to be something that plays into that. Biases from like where we're born and like nationalistic narratives that we like grow up under are definitely going to play into that. But I do think that if we can verify something as bad information, if we like can show that it's not something that is going to lead to better discourse, then we definitely should work to squash that out. But the method of evaluation is what's called into question here, right? And I don't know that I can conclude and say, yeah, this is the way we need to do it. Like, and so yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna throw it over to Stardust.
Yep. like I said, there's a value in having a platform somewhere on the internet that where anything is allowed. Just Twitch is not that platform, and you are probably not going to make much money on that platform if it does exist. Twitch is a platform that we can make money off of, partly because it's advertiser friendly. I would like to continue to make money off of Twitch. For the love of God, please don't take my income away from me. But I also I think that it's important that we try to put out the most accurate information we can when we can, and I support a business's right to determine to take somebody off of their platform if they determine that that person is making them look bad.
And Dirk?
Yeah, so I think I don't think that they should have been banned because I liked what Stardust said and the fact that Twitch is not necessarily a politics haven where people go for factual information all the time. It's more of a entertainment thing. So they're allowed to be dumb and have the wrong information, and I really wish good lefties would dunk on them for being incorrect all the time and make them all look like fools. But Twitch is going to Twitch, and they're going to ban people for saying stuff that at the time seems to be misinformation. And I really want to stick it to Twitch that maybe not in this instance, but some misinformation does in fact become true information, and they need to apologize sometimes. Not this time.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next topic, which is connected. I think it makes sense. We're going to jump from this one to this one, and that has to do with our new Twitter overlord, or the one that's attempting to take it from the Saudi prince, the Saudi royal, as they're fighting right now over who owns what shares in the company. $42 billion offered. Elon Musk. Is this a crusade for free speech? Is this a billionaire's ego trip? Is this not important at all? Or is this actually going to change the landscape of Twitter if it goes through, if it even happens in the first place? Basically, is Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter based or unbased? I'm going to throw it over to Jeb.
Yeah, I mean, I think ideologically it's based. I think if, we always talk about be the change you want to see in the world. If he wants to see a different Twitter and he has the means to make it happen, then fuck it. I mean, perform the hostile takeover, see if you can. I think the thing people should be way more concerned about is the Twitter board's idea of inflating the share volume of Twitter by 15%, thereby deflating the value by 15% in order to keep him from doing it, acting against their legal fiduciary responsibility to increase profitability of Twitter stock, just to keep him from the ability to do so. I mean, we all talk about capitalists evading regulation. Well, this is capitalists trying to evade capitalism. I think Elon is based for wanting to buy Twitter. I think the Twitter board is fucking unbased for trying to weasel their way out at the cost of shareholders to keep Elon from buying Twitter.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Kevin.
Yeah, it's obviously unbased. He is, I think, the poster child for the fact that billionaires don't necessarily have to be particularly smart or worthwhile human beings. He's a really creepy guy when you look into his free speech credentials. He has clamped down on people trying to do unions. He fired somebody for giving a bad review on a car on the internet. He doesn't give a shit about free speech. He is prepared to spend an unfathomable sum of money so that people aren't mean to him on Twitter. He's like a 6-year-old with $200 billion. It's embarrassing.
Okay, next we're going to throw it over to Mythic.
I think in contravention to a fucking super unbased cringe platform like Twitch, which is literally silencing based ancoms like me, twitch.tv/mythicpolitics, I think that a weirdo libertarian like Elon Musk taking over Twitter might be a net good. It's the only platform where you have transparency. They actually give you articulate feedback. There's recourse, and they give you clarification when you do an appeal. I think that it reverses. I think that unbanning people and not moderating a speech necessarily, unless it's calling for violence, allows people to do what they need to do to engage with the people where they're at, and I think people will feel more represented there. Also, what Elon Musk to do with his prescriptions for Twitch specifically to change it from a purely ad revenue and data to a non-ad revenue with the premium settings, buying the check mark and maybe paying for an edited tweet or something like that, will get rid of the perverse incentive they had to appeal to advertisers by calling stigmatized or unpopular opinion. And one person owning it doesn't mean that you can't have a union or a democratized workplace. It's the net effect, same for me, except that he might enact marginally better policies which allow for better speech. So I think it's mid-based. I'm not even sure.
Okay, I'm going to throw it now over to Preacher.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I personally think he's an intelligent businessman. Obviously, I mean, he didn't make his money by being a paint eating knucklehead that runs his head into walls. He has a good head on his shoulders, and I think obviously he's not a conservative, but he does lean towards some conservative views, which is
No, he
to
made
me
his-
obviously
he made
I
his
enjoy
money
that. But
having
his freedom
rich
of speech
parents.
push, I really
know.
enjoy. I mean, I've tried getting banned off of Twitter, so I don't know what everybody else is doing. I've like purposely tried it. I can't do it, probably because I'm nobody, but whatever. I want to see what he can do with it. If it goes through, I don't even think it's going to go through. But if it does go through, it'll be really interesting to see where he can take it. I think he can take it to a really awesome place.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Ranger.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing that Elon wants to take over Twitter. I mean, Twitter, whether we like it or not, it's
Fucking
where
idiots.
elite opinion is incubated. I mean, you have political figures, you have world figures, you
I'm
have elites from all
surrounded
around the world.
by
You have
idiots.
major news outlets covering Twitter. I think it's egregious that the board immediately rejected Elon's.
I'm surrounded by fucking idiots.
Fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, and that also includes like entertaining an offer from Elon Musk. So I definitely think that some of the promises are a little bit skewed in as far as unlocking all of Twitter's potential. I think Twitter is pretty much as good as it's going to get in regards to its size and its platform, but from the sense of censorship and free speech, his views are spot on. I support it.
Okay, I'm going to throw it now over to Rhizome, Stardust, and Turk. You guys get the order.
Yeah. I mean, if crypto bros have taught me anything, it's that the word of Elon is gospel. I mean, he's clearly not out here just reinventing the wheel, as a lot of lefties like to say. He's putting forward new inventions, new ideas. He's helping us move into a better world. Do you think that we would still be in the Ukraine war if we had Cybertrucks over there? We need to make sure that Elon Musk can do what he needs to do. And in order to do that, he needs to be able to control all messaging online. And Twitter is just the start. Twitter is the initial takeover that we need to see from him. Absolutely.
So first off, I have a bone to pick with a significant portion of you. Dylan, Jeb, KF Logan, Mythic. You guys, the opposite of based is not unbased. The opposite of based is whack. If dope means the same thing as based, then we've learned, based on Ollie G, that the opposite of based is whack.
I thought it was cringe.
Unbelievable, disgusting.
This is why we need representation on Twitch.
Disgusting. Secondly, regarding Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I literally don't care. I don't know why I should care. I'm hoping somebody here can convince me why I should care about Elon Musk buying Twitter, but I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Dylan, you missed it, but I had a bone to pick with you. The opposite of based is not unbased. It's whack, okay? Get it right.
Wow. Well, you're whack. Anyway,
Pretty aggressive.
Turk.
As a staunch capitalist, I like that Elon's trying to actually make a profit, and it's what he's doing is actually driving up stock prices quite a bit. So, as a firm capitalist, whatever ends up making him money, I support. I support all of you guys investing in things you believe in that will make you money, so you don't have to work on Twitch because it's a terrible platform. I will say though that I don't like the way that some Republicans are trying to jump onto this, free speech bandwagon thing, because they're kind of taking over what really is at the end of the day just a business exercise. He's trying to buy a company and do this stuff. If he really wanted to tackle free speech, 43 billion is a really good fund to create your own platform, and he's got enough of a background where he could do that. You buy some servers, you hire some software engineers. They're a dime a dozen these days. He could do what he's trying to do, but maybe buying Twitter is cheaper. So I don't buy into the whole free speech thing. I think Rhizome might have said it earlier. Or no, I don't forget who it was, but he doesn't like some people saying stuff and fires some people. It's like
That was me.
that's not. Yeah, I appreciate what you said, and it's like I don't buy into it all, but I do hope that he buys it because Twitter is not a real place, and it would be nice if it could be a real place to actually have conversations.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with the criticisms of Elon Musk. I mean, Tesla as a car company has become basically the Apple of car companies in terms of being against right to repair and things like that. Like, he has had some bugaboos in the past, but let's go into the classic harm reduction conversation where we talk about where Twitter is now. And I don't think it's pleasing anybody. At least Elon's first, tease of what he was about to do was to put out polls to users. Like, if Twitter was willing to put out polls to users, I don't even think anyone would want them to take an offer from Elon Musk. But the fact is, what they're seeing, whether they like Elon Musk or whether they don't like Elon Musk, is a platform that seems to be insulated from the opinions of anybody from literally any side of the political or social spectrum, and not looking to please any of them, being approached by a gentleman with enough capital to buy them, who's willing to poll the community and actually try to find ways to break the stagnant pattern that you see not only in Twitter's community, but on their stock price as well, which is why the $54 a share is such an advantageous prospect for shareholders, which again is why legally the board should have to consider this offer without considering deflating shares by 15%, which would then cause the stock price to tank by even more because all these shareholders are watching their price go down initially.
I don't give a fuck about the goddamn share price. I don't give a fuck about any of that. All I fucking care about is being able to be a spicy boy online without being fucking banned. I think fucking Elon Musk is a fucking autist genius who fucking he's down for the fucking memes, and he would be like the fucking Night King, raising all the fucking shit posters from Twitter's past back from the fucking dead. All of a sudden, this profile doesn't exist. This user can't be found. All of a sudden, magically, like a Thanos snap, returned into the peak of its shit posting glory. Now, if I was a marginalized or repressed person, I might feel a different way about it. But for me, fucking whipping up and exacerbating the worst passions in people to get fucking views over at twitch.tv/mythicpolitics, I say this would probably be a good thing.
And his ex is hanging out with Hassan, so maybe we get the Hassan ban we've all been waiting for. Let's fucking go, bud.
I also want to clarify that I don't think Elon's doing it for the free speech. I just think that's an added benefit for those of us who want to see free. I don't think Elon's doing it. But he doesn't do anything unless he looks at it and says, "What values?" But he's not. Me?
He doesn't support free speech. He doesn't
What?
support free speech. Consistently over the course of his career, he has tried to trample on people whose views he doesn't like. He's happy to suppress speech he doesn't like. He's not a free speech warrior in any way. Yeah. He's just.
I go on there and not have as much worry. To me, that's great. But I don't think it's not about free speech to him. It's about
So it's just about your free speech. You don't give a fuck about anyone else's free speech, just yours.
No, I care about everybody else's. But I'm saying mine. I do care about mine. I care about everybody else's. I care about yours. I don't think Elon does. But all I think Elon sees something there, and he sees a potential for it to make money some other way, and it's. How can I line my pocketbook? Oh yeah, it's about free speech. No, how can I line my damn pocketbook is what it's about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and stagnation. Stagnation is the issue with Twitter, man. And if we want stagnation to end, you have to have something come in and shake it up.
I don't get what you mean. What is stagnation on Twitter?
Stagnation on Twitter is where it seems we're stuck in this pattern of Twitter not really responding to consumer needs at all. It seems like people on the left think it doesn't protect marginalized communities enough. People on the right think that it goes too hard in banning or suppressing speech it doesn't like. I feel like having someone like Elon who's actually willing to, in a semi-transparent way in the sense of polls, actually sort of try to hear from the community, there is a better chance that at least the perception of motion in the right direction can happen under Elon, because he at least knows the aesthetic value of taking a poll, so that when people complain that, oh, you're not doing what my side wants, and the other side complains you're not doing what my side wants, he can at least have the aesthetic value of, I checked with you guys. I checked.
Do you need polls when you have mass data analysis? And then my other point to that is, like, when it comes to Fuck, I forgot it. But I mean, we don't need fucking polls.
Yeah,
I mean, we already have mass data now. Oh,
I have
the
a
other point is,
question.
how long do you
I don't
think
know.
the stagnation has been going on for? If I think back to like 4 or 5 years ago, Twitter's a completely different place.
I know,
Good
and
for
I know
polls.
we don't see the stagnate. I know we don't care about the share price, but the stagnation, you can what Twitter is looking at, what you have to look at, you do have to check the share price, and the stagnation in the material value of Twitter to its consumers is real, and that's what Elon Musk is coming in at the $54 a share offer to solve. Is I think I can take this with some upward momentum, at least in material value to consumers, in the sense that I can make money off of it. So I'm going to force you to exercise your fiduciary responsibility to at least address my offer. Because the stagnation with Twitter, while yes, Twitter is a different place in the sense.
Well, wait, you're saying the stagnation on Twitter, like I grant that exists. You still haven't shown that.
Well, what I'm
You just
saying
kind of
is,
said it's there, and like, oh, we all kind of know it, we feel it. Like, what?
no. Hold on. What I'm
Q4
saying is
earnings report.
the share price has been stagnating for a long time, and I know we don't care about that as people on it,
Oh.
but the material value to consumers, I think. And again, like KF
Okay, so
Logan
wait,
says,
so the
What
price stayed the same, so the
consumers
price
are
is
you-
going to
the
go up with
material
Elon
value
Musk.
to
So
consumers?
Mythic,
Are we
what,
really-
what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well-
So the price is going to go up with Elon Musk. That leads to lack of stagnation. But then also he's going to use polls. What's different about using polls compared to just like aggregating data that he has available to him, or that Twitter has available to them already
So
through
what's more
looking at
use-
user activity?
what I'm saying.
I can answer
sorry.
this one. Yeah,
If
so
you
as
want
a
to go, yeah. then I'll
as a
address it
content
after.
creator, you can go and look at the mass amount of data you've got on the Twitch backend, how many overall views you have, how many subs you got, all that stuff. But if you're actually engaging your audience and asking them questions via a poll, maybe you get better feedback to people that are actually involved with your community. And
So
your
Twitter
stuff.
creators can put out polls and they aggregate that data. I don't see why we need Elon Musk to
But
put a poll
this
out.
is from a Twitter's
question.
perspective as a
and
user.
I have
It's
a
better to have.
question.
Yeah.
Okay, first off,
Well, before
Why-
you answer the question, I see Turk was in the middle of a sentence. I want Turk to finish that.
sorry.
Then we can
I
throw it
didn't
to
realize.
Star. I saw Mythic wanted to say something earlier, so we'll see if we can get it over to Mythic too. And I see Ranger just raised his hand.
Ranger
Okay.
as well, yeah.
My
Yeah, so
apologies.
as a Twitter person, yes, I can engage my audience, and Twitch or Twitter can also go and backlog all of that information, as useless as it probably is. When it comes to actually facilitating a platform and developing and growing it in terms of a platform, as well as people coming back, retention and all that stuff, it's much more than just the raw numbers. You actually need to go and ask people, hey, that edit button we were going to promise you guys, do you really want that? And of course, that was one of the things Elon Musk mentioned. And it's like, oh yeah, we're going to start doing that now because we're actually put our feet to the fire to actually enable services that make our users happy. That's why.
Wouldn't a
actually
poll be
engaging-
subject to more bias if it's coming from somebody like Elon
Sure it
Musk
would.
than just like using user aggregate data?
And it could be botted.
But you can't user aggregate edit data unless you can make the jump from, oh, this guy posted something, immediately deleted it, posted the exact same thing with these edits. And it's like, there's much more analysis that might not actually pan out to a right answer if you look at just raw aggregate data. When you
You
can
don't
go
think
and
there's
ask
people out there on Twitter right now tweeting about how much they want or don't want edits or don't want Elon Musk to take over? You don't think that there's enough data available right now to assess whether or not people want these features?
Yeah, but that's also not the entire story. And by directly asking and getting direct feedback, that gives you a much more credible response to yes.
You think
these
you get
people
more
are-
direct responses instead of just biased responses when you ask users in a poll rather than when they just offer their takes anonymously and don't know that they're going to be surveyed?
That's how people don't like looking at these types of responses in a more scientific study. But when you're going to your customers and asking them what they want, you're going to get usually a better response.
You think that what do you think is more more valuable? The data on how people interact with a poll, right? Like answer a question versus the data on how people react and interact with the website as a whole. I feel like that's going to be much more valuable data when you can get live feedback on and this is how people test websites. You can get live feedback on different changes. You present a small change to a certain population of people, see how they react to it, see how they interact with the site, and then determine whether you move forward with that change. So polls don't really do anything in that industry other than make the audience feel heard, right? Secondly, the question that I had is like, how do we know that Elon Musk is there like evidence or a history? I'm asking because I don't know. Is there a history of Elon Musk saying that he's going to um, champion freedom of speech? Has he done this before with his other companies? Does he value the speech of his workers in his other companies?
No, he doesn't.
Is there something revolutionary he's going to be doing with Twitter? Like why should I care about
Well,
this?
I've posted in the group Discord chat a link to a story where he literally tried to silence a BBC television show who were critical of his product. He literally took them to court and tried to silence them. He doesn't care about free speech. He just cares about like his own fees, basically. He doesn't. He's not a free speech
100%.
warrior.
He's a fucking OSHA violating, workers' rights fucking crushing tyrant who doesn't give a fuck, will silence dissent about him, use his power and influence, fake stories, make it retroactively appoint himself as the founders, do NDAs for the current founders, the actual founders of the companies, so they have to say that he was actually the founder. He'll do anything to actually fucking not have the correct record be out there. However, if he's banking on fucking using fucking spicy boys as a growth metric for Twitter, if he's going to use this as a marketing pivot, I would say it's you could argue on him following through with the business plan to fucking using shitbags who have been banned as to respike growth on there and to take away from the other free speech platforms which are floundering.
But that's
honestly.
that's a failing strategy anyway.
I want to address the actual arguments being made by like Rhizome and Stardust because they're good arguments. So, and I think part of the issue is I phrased things incorrectly. I've had a little too much whiskey. I wasn't saying that the data quality of Elon Musk's polls was better than the back office data quality that Twitter has.
Thank you, Wayward Historian, for 1,105 bits. Much love.
Feeling the amount of consume.
Don't forget, you can also give bits and subscribe and hit the follow button if you're new here. Hello.
Visually track kind of where this decision came from based on what I can see happened. The issue with, like we were talking about Twitch, with non-transparency is when a platform makes the wrong decision, it's very easy to say, well, they just weren't listening to consumers. They weren't looking at the data based on consumers because everybody I know wants this. But because there's no transparent process to implementation, it's easy to dismiss it as they weren't listening, so they're not doing what their platform wants. But I don't think Elon Musk, I don't think we need to confirm that Elon Musk is looking to go any direct way with free speech, because I super agree with KF Logan that Teslas fucking suck, and he doesn't like when people say that Teslas fucking suck.
True.
But Elon Musk has showed the ability to respond quickly to a market.
They're already banned off of his Twitter.
Well, yeah, hold on. He's shown his ability to respond to a market, not just with electric cars, but with the way he sells Teslas on an online platform with no dealers. Elon has already shown his ability to rapidly respond to the way the current market wants to consume things. And that's what I'm trying to say. Stagnation in the sense of lack of change on the account of Twitter's implementation of the way they do things. The reason we haven't gotten an edit feature, I don't think, is because they're looking at data and people are saying, well, I don't want feature. There's an edit feature for Twitter right Blue, right?
Yeah, Blue. You get a 60-second transactional thing where you can change like a minor alteration, or maybe the whole last tweet for like the first minute or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I don't think they're not allowing that to go to the main market and everybody because people said they don't want it. I think it's just because there's a multi-layer process that Elon Musk has directly addressed in a publicly traded company that allows for stagnation because it takes so long to implement changes. That's why Elon Musk said, I not only want to buy Twitter, I want to take it private so that I can more rapidly implement the changes that I see the market wanting, just like he did with Tesla in the online sales platform.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's
can I just say
you could unilaterally. I agree that Elon could unilaterally fucking turn this thing on a dime into the fucking ground. I agree with that 100%, which is why I think we should nationalize Twitter. Let's go.
Well, I was just going to say.
I was just going to. Serious question.
Wait. One moment. Ranger, have you gone yet?
I have not. Nope.
Yeah, it's Ranger Jeb. I want to make sure Ranger gets in.
I'll give up my spot because I just sort of forced it just there.
Okay.
Sure, I'm going to caveat off Jeb anyway.
Kevin.
So.
And Preacher. Yep.
I mean, Elon has publicly voiced his disdain for Twitter's board for quite some time now, so it's no surprise that Twitter's board is scrambling. And what's really surprising is that they're not trying to find another buyer right now. And I don't mean another social media platform, because then that would tie into a lot of legal jargon that it would probably be pretty unreasonable. If someone were to buy the platform, it would be Elon. And what separates Elon from these other people that may have the same views as the people on the Twitter board, the difference is that Elon is going to take it private, and that's huge. The SEC, we already know that Elon clashes with the SEC constantly. He did it with, he did it unintentionally with discontinuing taking Bitcoin from Tesla, and then with Doge we saw it, and now we're seeing it with this. He bought a large share, but it was still below IPO price. And even though it was inflated last year, we've been in a bear market for the last year. This is an incredibly risky investment for Elon, in my personal opinion. On top of that, you guys have to realize that going from usually like a company that removes itself from being publicly traded is like less than desirable. But this is obviously Twitter is very desirable. It's very lucrative. And, social media is a very powerful tool. So I don't want any foreign influence, on arguably one of the most powerful social media tools on the planet currently. Okay. We still have the Saudi prince that still owns 5.5% or 5.2%. Like I don't want foreign assets having influence on the strongest social media tool that we have.
Where is Elon Musk from?
He lives in America.
Yeah, he lives in America. Yes, he does.
Fine.
But is he not a foreign person?
He's from South Africa.
Do we just condemn people to their birthplace?
No.
First
no.
African American owner
racial
of a
breakdown,
major
I
social
think.
media platform, baby. Let's go.
No, but my point is,
Depends on how they present, I think, right?
well, no, it's not just that.
So, for instance, I'm third generation off the boat. Like, is my grandmother just like?
No.
Can she only talk about Mussolini and World War II?
Dude.
Yeah,
I'm not a conservative. I'm not
the
anti-immigration. But the point is, if you don't want foreign influence, he is a foreign person, isn't he? That's literally true.
Okay, but now he's on our boat.
Is
right?
he? How do you know that?
He's Americanized.
He's Americanized.
Okay, cool.
He's on our team. At least from my perspective. I understand what you're saying, and it is a good point. But I do believe in the American dream, and immigration is incredibly important to me. My entire family came here.
Just really quick, I don't want to devolve this. Ranger and Rogue, you believe in meritocracy? I mean, just yes or no. I won't go any further. I just want to hear.
It's yes or no in what regard? I mean,
is meritocracy have is it real? Does it exist? Do you get rewarded for the harder work you do, and that's who we see on the top?
Yes.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Meritocracy doesn't just mean harder work. Hold on. I want to caveat that. Meritocracy doesn't just mean harder work. It can also mean it's both aptitude and attitude. So it can be harder work or better work.
And your parents giving you $1 million when you're 20, that also helps, right? Especially when you go and buy other existing monetized businesses like Tesla, like fucking PayPal, like fucking Twitter.
But a lot of people have taken over. A lot of people have taken.
Wait. A meritocratic entrepreneur and more of a person with money.
Yeah, but a lot of people have taken over monetizable businesses and then driven them into the ground because they didn't have the aptitude or the attitude. So
I wanted to just address something Jeb said about earlier about the consolidation of power in people's hands in the media, and who gets to decide who gets to say what and what opinions are allowed and all the rest of it. But yet seems to think it's super based that this one dude who is erratic as fuck and has clearly shown a significant number of biases against various things that might be considered pretty mainstream viewpoints, to have sole dominion over one of the largest social media platforms in the world. How do you square those two viewpoints?
I'll respond, but Stardust has had her hand up for 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I want to hear it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, I don't necessarily think we have to worry about the value of Elon Musk's specific values in regard to free speech, because the issue, if he just locks down free speech and no one can talk, he's going to tank the share price. I don't think he has any financial responsibility to do that. Just like when you asked, where's Elon Musk from? It doesn't matter because he lives domestically, he operates domestically, and has a domestic profit motive. I think same way with free speech. He would make money off of allowing more people to speak on Twitter. That's what he's
He would
been
make, well,
pretty
I'm
open
sure
about. What
he'd
he
make-
thinks would raise the value of Twitter is
would-
allowing more people to speak.
Well, he would
so I think his
potentially-
fiduciary
He would
incentive
potentially make
would be
more
to
money.
allow it.
He would potentially make more money from silencing people who don't like Teslas as well, wouldn't he? That would
He
surely
does
Not-
have an incentive to do that, and he has the inclination to do that.
And the
Yeah,
his-
I-
and the
I
history.
definitely
Not
believe
necessarily. No, because the amount of money that a car company is going to bring in isn't going to trump the amount of money he can bring in from
Also,
advertisers
I
on an
don't
open
think-
platform.
Yeah,
If
it's,
he-
and you're
if he
comparing
does- if
apples
he-
and oranges.
Yeah, if he kills Twitter because he doesn't want anti-Tesla like platforming on Twitter,
Well, no, it's
then
not just
he's
that,
going
but
to
it's
lose a lot
people-
more money than
it's
he's going to
people-
gain. This is a weird.
Well, no, because he only has to silence. He only has to
Tesla's
silence
worth
like.
Tesla's worth more than Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, but that's a like
They're
Tesla's
two totally
worth more than
different beasts,
Twitter.
though.
But you're going to lose a lot of. That doesn't mean the profits.
Well, no, because he
are the
doesn't have
same
to.
as
How
with
many
Twitter.
people?
That
Okay,
just-
how many people would it be okay with him
It is
silencing
if
who
it
have
is if you
legitimate
collateralize
critiques?
equity lines tied to the stock price of
Well, not
Tesla.
necessarily. Well, no, because Tesla's value is also the physical assets of Tesla.
wait.
Sorry.
Kevin was in the middle of making a point. He was interrupted.
Yeah.
I also have other people on the list, Preacher and Stardust, that has yet to be gotten to. So I want to
Yes.
throw it over to Kevin.
How many people would it be okay for him to silence who have legitimate critiques of Tesla as a company before it became like too much of an issue for him on Twitter? Like how many people's free speech is he allowed to stamp on before he becomes not unbased? What was the phrase again? Whack. That's the one. Whack.
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 Yeah.
Right, but it should
Or
be
cringe.
cringe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna wait
Or
till
cringe.
Stardust talks to respond. 'Cause
Okay.
That's what I want. I was gonna do that before, but I'll respond. I promise.
Okay. Well, it was actually Preacher, then Stardust in that order.
Yeah,
Preacher,
I just
Preacher,
have a real, and it's an honest question. It's a simple one, but it's an honest one. Why is it that Twitter is fighting him so hard about buying this? We're wondering, like, why does he want to buy it? Why is Twitter fighting him so hard about buying it? Can anybody tell me that? And I'm honestly asking because I
Isn't it
don't know.
isn't it
That's
the
what
same
I
way
said earlier.
both? Isn't it the same way both? What? Look, basically, they know that it's worth more in terms of the power to curate media responses than it is for necessarily the money. And neither the Saudi royals nor Elon Musk have to really worry about $40 billion here or there because that's not actually that much to them.
Do you think it's more because they don't want to give up the power to
Yeah.
kind of regulate speech?
Yeah, basically, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
How much do you think Jeff Bezos owning Twitch vicariously through Amazon has affected the free speech that's allowed on Twitch?
It hurts the Russian side of things, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe.
Wait, but is that coming from Bezos? That's the question. So what
That's the
Mythic is
question.
Yeah.
the question is
We're casting all these hypotheticals as if Elon's personal interests would directly fix
Exactly.
it, but then with Bezos, it's not. We see it. We all of a sudden there's all this kind of nuance when it's in actuality. So
yes.
I-
Do you guys believe that Twitch reflects Jeff Bezos's principles more than it would without Jeff Bezos at the helm?
But he lets me do a free sub every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
I-
Well,
I do
can
think
say,
it does,
I can
yes.
say fuck Jeff Bezos on this platform and I won't be banned. If Elon Musk takes over Twitter and you say fuck Elon Musk, would you be as sure that he wouldn't ban you for that?
I'll be the
Yes,
first
I think
one
that's
to
a
try it.
huge leap. Yeah, I think that's a huge leap to say
Why?
that he
When
would
he's
just
given-
risk his profit.
he's
Because
given-
that would risk his profit motive so heavily if
No, it
people
wouldn't,
realize
'cause-
that this dude just bought Twitter and now you can't say anything against Elon or Tesla. That's a huge logical jump
Okay,
to
I'm
make.
I'll
that
put
he
an
would
end to
just
this
go
right here,
full
right
Russia
now.
and chop
Okay,
it
well,
off.
Jeb, I might have to come back to you in 6 months and see if that theory gets tested.
I will bet. I
Kevin.
will give $100 bet right now that he will never do that. But Stardust has been in order for like 10 minutes.
Let me
And
just
No,
V-Bucks,
please
answer
don't
that.
worry
V-Bucks.
about me.
I just want to answer
will-
that challenge real quick.
We don't
I've
gamble.
tried getting banned off of Twitter, and I have not been able to. So if he takes over, I promise you, I will be the first one to say "F Elon Musk," and we'll see where it goes.
No, you
'cause
can't
I've
say
never been
F.
banned.
You can't say F. You need to say fuck. You need to actually say the word. Come
I'm
on.
Well,
a
yeah.
minister. I can't be just blasting out the F bombs.
I'll
Okay,
I was
tweet
gonna
it.
say,
I'll tweet
Preacher.
it
this
for
out
you.
for
I'll tweet it
science, I
for
will
you.
He's a
do it.
man of God, Kevin.
Preacher,
I was gonna
I'll
say,
do it
Preacher.
because
That's gonna be
I'm
one of
a-
the easiest tasks is to get banned off Twitter. Like you could find
I've tried. Like I've literally tried.
dang.
I don't know.
Give me
As
your
a
login.
preacher, I don't
Give me
know
your
if he
login.
could.
Yeah, give it a Mythic. Actually, give it a Chud Logic, and
Give
you're
it
all
to
Oh
good.
my
Charmhole.
Yeah, give it to Chud. He'll-
Actually-
Unironically, give it to Charmhole.
Chud
But we
will
gotta
have
throw
you
it-
in E blackface in like 2 seconds. You'll be out. Easy.
We're gonna throw it over to Stardust.
On the topic of getting banned from Twitter, I had Mr. Girl reach out to me over one of my tweets and say, you should delete that tweet or you're going to get banned, which I think is hilarious. But anyways, just to reiterate, just because consumers want something doesn't mean that it's actually good for the website. So, for example, the edit button that all of you guys are talking about, I think has the potential to like actually wreak havoc and destroy Twitter. A lot of Twitter, its function is based on the fact that you can't edit once you tweet that tweet out, you know. And then if you're able to edit it, you got a bunch of people quote tweeting you, and you edit that tweet that's the original, the quote, you know, all these quote tweets. Like, then it's gonna fuck everything up. Then the conversation is fucked, you know. So like it just ruins the functionality of Twitter. Why would we edit tweets when we can just delete them and tweet something new out, you know? Secondly, all I've heard for the past 5 years on the internet is a bunch of dudes either jerking off to Elon Musk and how cool he is, or hate jerking off to Elon Musk about how much they hate him. I don't understand what taking Twitter private is supposed to do in this. I don't know what if there's any like demonstrated history of Elon Musk doing things that are actually necessarily bad. I guess that would be bad for Twitter, or if there are things that he's done historically that have been necessarily good for his companies. I think Rhizome made a really great point asking, does Twitch reflect the values of Jeff Bezos?
Listen,
what I'm
hate boners
saying.
are the best to jack off. Okay,
That-
when you have
that
a
was
hate
my
boner,
point,
that's
by
the
the way.
best ejaculate experience.
Yeah,
we keep,
honestly.
we keep talking about the edit button. I just want to put out one thing real quick. Elon did say that he would release Twitter's code and just post it to the internet. I think that is way more significant than an edit button.
Also, I want to say
Yeah.
that the edit button that he did propose would be time sensitive, i.e., that you would have X amount of time not unlike Twitter Blue, and also if it wasn't affixed to a time sensitive nature, that it would only for like a couple character edits, i.e., for syntax and or grammar or spelling, something like that. It's not like you can't change the whole ass sentence.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, we can see the material difference between taking things private, because like Stardust said, like we should address what is the actual material effect of taking something private, and usually it is when you see something going the wrong way, and bureaucracy, especially the public trading aspect of bureaucracy, seems to be getting in the way of them changing fast enough. That would be the reason why you would take things private, so that you can cut through fewer layers of bureaucracy for each change. Twitter Blue does seem to be their pilot program for a lot of useful features, and I do think Twitter is planning on deploying that edit feature eventually. I think what you do by giving someone like Elon the wheel, I don't think you're going to see him banning people from like shitting on Elon or Tesla. I just think you're going to see more rapid deployment, because Elon has clearly been more apt to taking risks as far as things that could possibly cause some damage, but also have a high likelihood of just making consumers happier. He did it with BNPL with PayPal. He did it with electric cars before anybody ever wanted them. And he did it with a primary online platform for cars. And this is coming from someone who fucking hates Tesla. He hates Tesla cars, hates that they're anti-right to repair. But in those instances, he showed the ability to respond to a market before other people would, and he knows that as a cog in a publicly traded machine, he doesn't necessarily have the ability to respond to things any faster than any other company, because he's at the liberty of a board.
But
I have a
I will say
question
I will
for
say this real
Ranger.
quickly. I would.
Damn. Okay, everybody at the same time. Okay, who
I
wants
just
to
wanna say
talk?
real
Raise your
quick- I
hand.
just wanna
I
say-
just have a
Wait,
question.
wait. That's not how it works. Raise your hand if you want to talk. Okay. I gotta choose.
Me.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Get your tiger by the toe. Let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, Stardust.
Okay, I have a question for Ranger. What does releasing the code? What is the significance of that? Of him releasing Twitter's code? Is there anything that's supposed to mean? Like, is that some groundbreaking thing? Like,
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
in chat have been saying, "Oh, I can find Twitter's code in my sleep or something." I don't know. So, if you
No,
can
that's-
elaborate on that, maybe. I don't know.
For sure. I mean, we saw how heavily social media played an influence in the election with when it was Clinton versus Trump.
Hmm.
Social media is an incredibly powerful tool. Cambridge Analytica. I mean, these are things that are literally. I'm not saying that Twitter is guilty of it, but there are absolutely psyops within the social media platform.
Being more specific, they can no longer hide behind the guise of, oh, we do things through the algorithm and blah, blah, blah. that when you release the source code, people that are smart enough will actually go and see, oh, hey, this type of user is actually preferred in the algorithm rather than this type of person. And having that kind of transparency helps to eliminate the trust at large that, you know, certain creators are banned because this part of the code selectively alters or looks at this particular metric or whatever. So by having an open GPL, you know, whatever license they decide to go with it, is much more beneficial from the community, because we can then go and fact check these companies and say, hey, the way you're actually searching for these results, when I type in Destiny sucks and you get like some, you know, Dota link instead of a League of Legends link, you know, you can actually fact check that and put the company account instead of just trusting that they're doing the right thing.
I mean, that take comes down to sheer paranoia. Could you ever see anything that would make you feel that you understand the algorithm and how it searches? Or do you think, like, I feel like if you get unexpected results, you can always attribute it to some kind of like shadowy conspiracy?
There's no one person who understands how the algorithm works. It's a team, and even then, it sort of does its own thing. It's sort of like a black box machine learning at this point, especially
And that's
with YouTube
why
and Twitter.
having access to the code and having visibility to it would help eliminate some of that conspiracy theory, because you can say, yes, this is actually kosher. And when smart enough people go and look through it, they can say, yep, they're not biased in how they actually filter results. So guys,
But then
that
couldn't
have
you
been
just say
saying
that the
you're full
code
of
they
it.
published isn't true to what's on the platform? Like, we can just run back to another unprovable
No,
claim.
because then at that point, you've got smart white hat hackers or blue hat, whatever hat they are. They can actually go and test this stuff in the back end and actually go and prove and do. There's a lot of smart people that do this kind of development stuff, man.
Okay.
And other reasons for going open source is because there's other smart people that want to contribute to the project. And if they have a good idea of adding an emoji beyond the character limit, dude, that's extra money and extra characters in the same data space. So that they'll instantly take that.
Yeah, I just I don't know about any of that. I just want to interject real quick. I don't know if we
I
were
don't
still all
understand
responding.
this.
Yeah, I don't see the utility in
get
this.
it.
I don't think that. I think 1,000 people couldn't figure out the Twitter algorithm, especially.
Well, that's why there's millions of people.
Okay, yeah. Anyways,
Listen, guys,
I
this
would
guy
say-
builds PCs. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
I was changing memory
tech.
out there, guys. Come on.
I think that if Elon sees utility in pitching this as a move towards transparency and free speech and is aligning the stock price to that, one thing that we've seen is Elon will do whatever the fuck he can to game the market to make a stock price go up. So if he's banking on free speech, he's at least going to be selling the idea that there is more free speech. I don't know how that would actuate itself, but I would place a conservative bet that Elon Musk will do whatever he can to fucking hijack to game the stock price of Twitter after the fact. If that's coupled to free speech, an actual free speech pivot or not, I don't know.
Have we analysed at all the possibility that he doesn't even really want to take over? He just wants to inflate the stock price to do a bump and dump.
I
So
think that's a
one-
great point.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're arguing on that logic, then this whole conversation isn't worthwhile to have, and we should just move on to the next topic. But
Well, really quick. So on the point that the Turk just brought in, there are development kits for Twitter out there that mimic its environment. Do you think that those aren't true to the algorithm? They have them out there for people who are developing apps or like something that they want to put on and use that works with Twitter's API. Do you think that they're just lying about like what that development environment mimics?
So APIs only give you access to certain hooks that are actually allowed by the tool you're trying to plug into. So yes, having APIs that are properly documented, and they have all sorts of workshops that allow people to actually plug in to the back end is a great thing. However, the back
API
end
is not the algorithm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beyond the API hooks and how things actually go under the covers, that's the kind of stuff that by allowing it to be open source adds that extra layer of transparency that would put a lot of people, suspicions of, oh, the algorithm's bad. It's like,
This is what I mean. I just think there's nothing that'll quell these suspicions, but that's a subjective conclusion, so it's all right.
providing the source code is a pretty dang big hammer to squash that.
sorry,
but
so
this
Oh.
especially the right-leaning contingent of these people, they're the same people who didn't trust like the mRNA vaccine and all that. Isn't that open source as well? I don't think having availability to primary documents, the journals that published the initial studies and or the implementation and or synthesis of the vaccine made it any more trustworthy to anybody who was looking at it. So I think this is sort of like a non-argument.
I don't know though, because we're looking at the most vocal people, so obviously you're gonna see the people who are like, I still don't buy it, fuck that implant that Bill Gates is trying to put in my arm. But like, I think a lot of people, just because they're right leaning, can look at information. Like, doesn't mean they can't look at information and
Come
see
on,
like, I appreciate the transparency there.
QAnon was a pretty significant part of American conservatism over the last couple of years. I don't think you can say it's like
No,
some
hold
sort
on.
of-
No.
some
Not
sort of
American
like,
conservatism. There's nothing conservative about QAnon saying that, we should overturn an election even though it might have been, it's probably
They
legitimate.
all
Like,
seem
there's
to
nothing
support
conservative
Donald
about
Trump.
that.
I would say that's conservative, isn't it?
Well, you can't say that because conservatives sometimes support Donald Trump and QAnon people sometimes support Donald Trump that
No, not
conservatives are all
sometimes.
QAnon.
The overwhelming. I didn't say they're all QAnon. I said it's a significant portion of modern American conservatism.
Do you have a statistic?
No,
So the
it's not.
idea,
It's
the
not.
idea
No.
that this is
Do you
some.
have a
But this is
statistic?
beside the point.
Yeah, there
but-
was it 17% of America believed in the core
That's a significant portion.
of a conservative.
so-
If conservative makes up 50%, let's say, of America,
17% of a population is massively
Yeah.
significant. Yes,
that's a significant
But
portion
hold
of
on,
American
no,
conservatism.
I don't think
that's
I
damn
do
near
not-
1 in 5. Like,
But hold on, we're getting like I agree. I get that. I guess QAnon is a concern and what have you. But what I'm talking about is I don't think that just because someone is right leaning, they won't look at transparency and then see
there are
more
lots of
material value as a
conservatives
consumer.
who will, but there's a lot of conservatives who,
Most
regardless,
conservatives will.
regardless of what if
Not
you
a lot
can,
of
you
them.
can prove conclusively with the algorithm and all the rest of it, right? You can do the open source, all the rest of it. They don't believe that like Hillary Clinton is necessarily human. So I don't know that you're going to convince them with numbers in an algorithm either.
How did we
Bro,
get on
no,
this topic, bro?
Every
Where
every
did we
single
come
thing.
from?
Every
are we
single thing
going?
you're including is like some niche and nicher group. I think most
Are we talking about
conservatives
lizard people?
could- I think
Yes.
most conservatives would see
Lizard
an
people.
increasing material
Everything
value
hit the
in
bedrock.
transparency.
I don't
Finally,
know
we're
what's
addressing the
going on
lizard people.
anymore.
But hey,
Where
before
are
we
we?
hold on, before we move off the
What's going
topic,
on?
I did see
Oh
a catch a fly one time.
hold on, before we move off the topic, I can get people saying, "Oh, it's not based because Elon this, Elon that." Does anyone specifically think that Elon taking over Twitter would be a bad thing? Like it's really bad and it's something we should that Twitter is right to definitely want to stop? Because I hear a lot of people saying maybe there's not a great reason for us to want him to buy it. Does anyone think there's a reason why we should absolutely oppose him buying it?
Yeah, because it would annoy him and a lot of really bad people, and that would make me laugh.
That's a good point.
it's actually true.
Okay, well, fair. I like annoying Elon Musk because fuck Teslas, fuck anti-right to repair in general. But as far as it directly pertains to Twitter, is there some severe material damage anyone's worrying about if Elon buys Twitter? Because the things that the Twitter board is considering to keep him from buying Twitter is to the level at which you probably need like a severe demonstrable like material risk to Twitter to justify. Like they're inflating the stock volume by 15%. That's huge.
What do you mean? But is there a risk to it? Adding to the GDP another bloated speculation on speculation on speculation as empty fucking unicorn ass stock, which is coupled to the GDP, which determines what we do where, and doesn't actually address. So they look at the GDP and they see the line go up, and then don't address the underlying poverty of the actuality of people's conditions. As a socialist, most people understand that's not good to have arbitrary
Hold on.
empty value be associated with the actual GDP.
Well,
so in
no.
that broad
What's
sense,
empty
it's not
value?
good.
What's empty value? If he provides the
Stock
assets at
evaluations.
hold on,
Stock speculation.
no, it's not speculated. If he provides the material assets to purchase Twitter at $54 a share, that's realized value. That's not speculative. He is purchasing Twitter at that stock price. That is real value. He put the assets up. I'm saying if Elon were to put the $54 a share up and purchase Twitter to realize that value, is there any material damage to Twitter that would justify a 15% inflation in stock price to avoid
Who
it?
cares about the damage
Can I
to
just
Twitter?
ask?
They do. That's the whole thing about buying Twitter.
Are you not worried, given your previous annoyance at the consolidation of power in a small number of people's hands to decide what the discourse is, in Elon Musk overpaying for a thing that isn't really that important to him? It's not a core part of what his business has been to this point. It's not an industry he's necessarily that familiar with. To buy this, do you think there might be an ulterior motive as to why he's buying this particular stock?
No, because I think people in that conversation, specifically you right now, are focusing on Elon, the founder of Tesla. I'm thinking of Elon, the co-founder of PayPal, which democratized finance and peer-to-peer transactions at an extent
the co-founder. He did the same thing with Tesla. He bought that fucking company and retroactively had himself assigned as the masthead as the founder. He hasn't ever built anything.
No, but what I'm saying is he partook. People are saying, oh, he only partook in Tesla, therefore he's going to try to squash speech, squash dissent.
He's
But
got a
he took
consistent
part in a
history of
company
doing it. He's done it
No,
previously.
but did he do it with PayPal? Is what I'm saying is PayPal was a project he had a heavy association with.
Okay, maybe
that
he didn't do it with-
democratized finance and peer-to-peer transactions to
They
an
did a
extent
bunch
that
of
no one
fuck
had ever
shit.
done before.
They kicked Julian Assange off of there. Anybody that was part of a political group they didn't like, they unfunded. They removed their access to their bank accounts. They did a bunch of shit with PayPal.
No, but on a level of like the mass viewer, like the mass user base, what did he do to like non-democratize peer-to-peer transactions through PayPal? Like that's why I don't worry about him and Twitter, because he seems to be motivated the same way most businessmen are motivated, which is by a profit motive. And he seems to think that the direction that Twitter should be taken in order to increase the profit motive is a more open and more receptive. Sorry,
You think that
implementation.
Elon Musk has a history of democratizing First of all, I don't even know about that, but he has
PayPal does, yes,
he has a
100%.
staunch history of democratizing workplaces and doing whatever we can to quelch unions and safety regulations writ large. Well, this guy's fucking he's building fucking cars in a tent in the desert with no supervision, no workers' rights.
I put a link in our Discord chat to him trying to silence the BBC. If he's got no qualms trying to do one of the biggest news organisations in the world and silence them, do you think he's going to give a fuck about me or you on Twitter? He'd happily silence any of us.
No, but what I think would make him give a fuck about me and you on Twitter is because we're the ones who are driving the profit motive for Twitter if he were to purchase it. You guys keep acting like he's going to somehow
I don't think he cares about the money so much. Because otherwise, why would he be overpaying for this stock price?
No, because
the money is irrelevant to him.
When he was in an industry with PayPal that required participation by a mass user base, he catered to the needs of that mass user base with features like BNPL and things that nobody had ever invested on en masse before. So when he is in Twitter, which again is their value is dependent upon the participation of a mass user base. If there are less users and less volume, the value goes down. He is going to have a profit motive to cater to a mass user base and growing that user base.
He wouldn't care about silencing a relatively small amount of people on that site, which would still amount to potentially thousands.
But on what side? Do you really think that Elon Musk is going to buy Twitter and then just say anybody who talks shit on Elon or Twitter to a
degree.
Or Tesla is going to get banned on Twitter?
Let's say, for instance, the picture of him with noted child sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, who was his personal friend. Let's just say,
him and everybody else, bro. Like,
well, let's just lots of horrible people need to be in jail, including Elon Musk. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah, 100%. But
right. But let's say he wants to silence that particular picture. Let's say I want to post that picture because that's a picture that exists. Let's say he just gets rid of the people who post that picture. Is that okay? Because he'd have the right to do that, wouldn't he?
No, there are people associated with Twitter now that could do that because they were associated with Ghislaine Maxwell and they're not doing it.
Yeah,
Why
but
is
I'm
Elon
not.
this
I'm
like
not
devil?
Associated with her.
What? No, I'm saying there are people associated with the ownership of Twitter right now that could do that and don't because they know it, again, by openly suppressing things like that.
Okay, well, I'm not defending the current ownership. They're also pricks. I don't care about the current ownership.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Can I ask a point of clarification?
Yeah.
Who is actually like involved with Twitter at the moment? Who is associated with Jeffrey Epstein or Maxwell?
I mean, as far as the Twitter ownership goes and like Twitter user base, a ton of people like worked in the circles of like Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. I think they were in bed with a ton of people who lobbied alongside Twitter for certain regulations and things like that. Like as far as Elon Musk, I don't know that he would have any more material advantage in suppressing pictures with Ghislaine Maxwell. I haven't seen like some en masse spread. Also,
again, you're just
what pictures have you seen that like en masse spread with Elon Musk and Ghislaine Maxwell that are going to hurt his profit margins?
Well,
like,
the one where he's like holding
seeing?
hands with her at that party. Look,
and when that's shared, did you see the share price of Tesla go down now? Like
no, but
again,
I don't. You're looking at this from a purely as if he's a calculator. He's not. He's an irrational, impulsive dude. He wants to protect Elon Musk first and foremost.
When he purchases a company,
I think he is hyper conscious of conscious, of what he does to manipulate this. If you watch, just an aside, did anybody watch that 3-part Genius series of Kanye West? Kanye West, much like Elon Musk, wakes up in the morning and goes, "How can I manipulate the fucking market today?" That's literally how he makes billions of dollars. He goes up and exacerbates the worst action because his fucking literal fortune is tied to how people feel about the economy and feel about the market, which is very susceptible to his fucking broad reach on Twitter, being able to say a thing which precipitates a big fucking climb. Look at Dogecoin. He is hyper fucking vigilant of what he says and how it affects his stock price. So I mean,
So is literally anybody who takes part in a publicly traded company. Like, that's no different than anybody else. What I'm saying is, what makes Elon Musk a specific material risk to Twitter to the extent
He's
that it
irrational.
justifies?
He's
How?
Well,
Has
okay,
Tesla's stock
let's take
price
a look.
not almost unanimously gone up
No,
for
no,
a
I'm not
long
saying.
time? I mean, there
I'm not
was
saying he
one
can't run a
period
business.
where it went up and went down.
I'm saying he's an irrational person. Like that the guy that saved those Thai kids in the cave. He criticised him, so he publicly called the guy a pedophile with no fucking no reason. Like, he's an irrational, impulsive, petulant person, and I don't think that's a person that should be in charge of one of the largest platforms in the world.
Then I would argue that
Kevin,
Twitter should
his
just not
assets
exist.
shielded him from retribution for doing so. The guy couldn't even sue him for slander because he has such an outsized portion, so much legal aid or so much legal representation. He insulated himself from fucking accountability for the clear slander that he participated in when it was convenient to him.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, but
and
what-
also,
but
why are
again,
we
what's
basing this
speci-
conversation
again-
on the fucking stock price of Twitter? What about the fucking? How is it good or bad for America broadly? Why are you couching it? Bro, I don't give a fuck. Twitter could die tomorrow. I don't give a shit.
No, because what I'm saying is there is
If
a
Elon Musk
hold on.
privatizes Twitter's stock price goes away.
Yeah,
So
that's
why
that's
are we
what
even
I was
talking about
trying
its
to
stock
say.
value at all? So, but just really to be clear,
Sorry,
why are we
Ryzen.
talking about its stock price at all if he wants to privatize
Because
it?
just because the public stock price goes away doesn't mean that the inherent value of the company goes away. And as a 10% shareholder, he has less of an attachment to the inherent value of Twitter than he does as a 100% private owner of Twitter. Because if he's a 100% private owner of Twitter, when that real value rises and he's able to then sell that in 10 years, he realizes 100% of that value as opposed to 10%. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying a difference between the stock price and what's good for America. What I'm saying is what's good for America can be dictated by the general user base that is Americans. And so the stock price responds almost directly to that.
I'm not sure
and
you
I think
should
that is why the Twitter stock price is stagnated, is because they don't feel served right now by the current leadership.
I'm not sure you should trust Americans with the future of America, to be honest. That seems a bit.
But that's
bit
but
shot
again, if you're
Coming from the
using that
UK
logic,
guy, yeah.
True.
but then why do you want to
come back to Mother
democratize
England.
anything?
You know you want
Hold
to.
on.
It's a, you
KF
know.
Logan, you want to democratize everything. Why would I democratize things to Americans if they can't be trusted with the future of America? With that logic, we shouldn't talk
I was
about it.
memeing.
You want to trust it to South Africans?
No, one South African who lives in America. Okay.
One tech feudalist to run us all.
That's
Kevin, so just quick question. So when you say that, sticking it to Elon and you think it would be funny and all these things,
It would be very funny, yes.
right. And I don't disagree with you in that sense. Like, it'd be memey and everything. But wouldn't you rather stick it to Wall Street? Because you have to understand that the big moguls on Wall Street, like Vanguard and stuff, do you think they're going to be happy when they have to remove Twitter off the S&P 500?
Well, no,
Like,
I mean,
you're literally sticking it to like tons of billionaires instead of just one.
Well, look, either way, capitalists are going to win in this scenario one way or the other, and I don't really care which one does. I just like the fact that Elon Musk is a prick, and if he's unhappy, I'm happy.
Do you think the other billionaires on Wall Street aren't pricks, or?
But
Yeah,
but I don't know
exactly.
them. They're not like doing weird memes on Twitter. Middle-aged men, like, it's, you know what I mean. Like, I'm less bothered. Viscerally, it's not in my face.
No, they're just currently and actively not serving their user base, which is why people are generally supportive of Elon Musk right now, and why the people are generally talking about him buying the platform as being either a good thing or a neutral thing, is because the current leadership isn't acting on the behalf of their user base. So the user base wants a change. Why is that bad?
No, the user base can like a change. That's fine. But Elon Musk is like, again, he has a consistent pattern of abusing power. I don't want him in charge. I'd be happy to get rid of like the current board
Does
because
Twitter
they're probably
not?
shit. Like, but I'm not going to be
That
happy
applies
with
to every
Elon Musk.
elite.
And
But what
that's
do-
the
okay,
meme
hold
we
on,
should
hold on.
embrace.
I want to stick it on him. Who would you give Twitter to then tomorrow?
Me.
You? Okay.
Sold.
Yeah.
I don't know
think
about
you
I don't know
should
about
give
your
Twitter to
history with
I think that's
opposing
the other part of
opportunity.
the
I think we should
equation.
give Twitter to 4chan. I think that's a great idea. Just give Twitter to 4chan. 4chan will handle it. It's going to be awesome.
True
But that really is
democratization means
that's the
4chan
other part of the equation is like who else is poised? Okay, so the Saudis, but other than Elon, who else is poised to be able to do this?
The
that wants
employees,
to?
the workers.
Huh?
It should be the best and biggest co-op in history.
Yeah. I'm okay
The
with that.
workers
That's,
should
that's
own
fucking
Twitter.
dope. Yeah.
Freaking based.
True. Left and right
And then
unite.
after the stock price completely tanks, the workers are holding the bill and they're all out of a job and they're freaking broke as shit, man. Yeah, go for it.
I'm not going to jump on the conserva meme of like being anti-union. I support unions. I think they're an important like capitalist
Communist,
structure.
fucking communist.
But again, if Elon
Jeez.
Musk were to come out and say, "Hey, I'm okay with the union within the
He
Twitter
won't.
workplace," KF Logan, would you be supportive of it?
Well, yeah, but he's not. He's actively undermined
Yeah, he's
unionization
actively
efforts.
suppressing unionization and
He's
all this other
literally
companies.
that's his.
Well,
that's-
I'm trying to measure whether it's KF Logan's hate for Elon Musk driving his opinion or like the genuine
Well, it's
like
a bit of
prescription
both.
for how Twitter
It's-
should be
it's-
ran.
it's a little bit of both.
driving his
include the
opinion.
other.
Yeah, it's
What?
it's 50-50 on that. I do hate Elon Musk, but I also think he would be bad. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I don't think it's abnormal to assume that somebody who has a specific bias toward one person might hold that above like practical implementation. But yeah,
Also, I don't really. I mean, to echo.
I'm glad to hear it
to echo my comrade Mythic. I don't really care about Twitter. If it died tomorrow, it wouldn't affect my life that badly. So I don't
I
really
think
care.
it would do society
I'm
a
just
common
gonna say,
good.
can we be real for a second? People on Twitter are way more ballsy than people on 4chan. Okay, people
Facts.
on 4chan hide behind like the anonymous,
True.
the anonymity and stuff. But people on Twitter, they have their full names tied to them, and they still post the most ratchet stuff. They are the most unhinged people. And and you know what? I'm gonna say it. Like, as much as I love my 4chan homies, I think the Twitter people have bigger balls than you. I'm sorry.
True.
Fact.
Base take.
Until they open a another account and go for it.
all right, I'm out of whiskey. Next topic. Come on.
Stop driving the conversation, man. This isn't your
Okay.
show.
You don't
Uh,
fucking tell Billy Dylan what the
I was
fuck
about
to
to say,
do.
isn't there like a moderator here? What's going
It
on?
was a
What's
suggestion.
happening? That's-
It was
It
certainly
was a
suggestion.
firm
Logan Dylan.
suggestion.
Wow, it was very firm. Is there anything else that anyone wanted else? Anybody want to say on this topic? Or
Are we gonna do closing statements or what?
We can do closing statements if nobody else wants to. Okay.
I'll
Closing
say
statements?
closing statement. Oh,
Okay.
I mean,
We'll start with Jeb.
I mean, yeah, I think I've said what I need to say. I think that, shaking things up would be good. I don't think the current leadership is serving people. I think Elon Musk has demonstrated certain things that, there's definitely risk involved, but he could serve us better. He could serve us worse. All I know is I'm unhappy with how things are going now. So I think it's base that he wants to buy it and change it. And I think it's super whack that they're trying to poison pill him and inflate stock volume, thereby deflating stock price by 15% to keep him from doing so.
Okay.
Yes.
Throwing it over to Logan.
Yeah. Elon Musk got his start with money from his father's apartheid blood emerald mine, so I don't really give that much of a fuck about him as like a business acumen. If we all got significant, huge sums of money when we were younger, we would have a chance at being billionaires as well. He has consistently silenced opponents in the past, so he doesn't give a fuck about free speech. Tesla is being sued for racism, significant racism, in California right now. He is friends with noted child sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, and frankly, I'm glad that Grimes left him and that he's lonely. Peace.
Damn. Give that over to Mythic.
I just want to say that they're on the off chance if Elon does in fact buy it and he does in fact enact some fucking a modicum of more protection for speech, it might be base. Otherwise, I say fuck it. Who cares? It's another fucking tech feudalist. One dipshit versus an army of one rich dipshit owning it versus an army of rich dipshits. I don't see any fucking different material condition unless they fundamentally change the way Twitter makes money. Then they could insulate that from the advertisers. That's the big issue. Is they don't have an effective way of insulating the advertisers from the strong stigmatized opinions on people. That being said, Elon is an enemy of the people. Elon is an enemy of unions. He's an enemy of fucking organizers. And if he was to be enacted there, it would basically be 100% guaranteed that Twitter will never have any sort of workplace democracy. So for those reasons, I say break out the bagel slicers and we should nationalize Twitter.
Okay. Now I'm going to throw it over to Preacher.
Yeah, I haven't changed my mind. I still think it would be a good thing for the users if he takes it over. And I do look forward to if he takes it over. I look forward to making another attempt at getting banned. We'll see. I don't know. I'll push hard for it. I'll push hard.
I'm going to hold you to that F-bomb.
I got you.
I got
I'll
you
use-
if you
I'll
can't do
use
it, okay?
All caps. I'm going to use all caps too.
Good man, good man.
Ranger and Rogue.
Yeah, I think in the very small chance that Elon does happen to acquire Twitter, I think it would definitely be a net good, not only for everyone, but as well as our country, because social media is a powerful propaganda tool. And I want America to have the most powerful social media platform that we currently harness. And taking it private, I consider to be a huge net positive.
Okay, gonna throw it over now to Rhizo.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing about like using polls to inform what happens or getting more transparency, like users aren't going to be happy or satisfied no matter what. Even if we institute edits or whatever, there's going to be a large portion of people who are like, we didn't fucking want this, or if it goes a way that they didn't expect, then they'll complain. It's that was kind of like a futile, I don't know, position to take in my
Thanks for
opinion.
stopping by, Field Level.
Also, what
enjoy
platform,
your
what
evening.
business, one-to-one reflects the principles of the person that owns it? I don't think we can really point to many examples of that. So thinking that Elon being at the helm is going to like lead it in any like is going to like steer it in any direction because of his takes, I think is a leap in logic. And I don't know, really, I think Twitter is just much less important than a lot of us think. We should probably just like abolish it. Mythic wants to nationalize it. I think it would be much better for our mental health just abolish Twitter. Let's get the fuck over this shit, huh?
Yeah, what do you have, like 150 followers? Now I know I want to abolish it. I'm gonna throw it over to Stardust.
Never tweet too. Stay out of all the drama.
Yo.
You know what?
I don't even know why I at you when I tweeted this out today, and I follow you on Twitter, and I try
It's
to
better
stay
for me
under
to stay out of
1,000
Twitter.
followers. I stay under 1,000 followers.
Imagine I did all that
1,000
endless shit
counts.
and I was on Twitter. That would have been way worse.
The
Yeah.
thing is, I stay under 1,000 counts following, and I'm wasting one on you because I like you, Rhizo, but you don't even tweet, so I need to like unfollow you now. Because
And you're
I'm
not
wasting-
following me, and I tweet fire shit all the time, and I only have 18
Exactly.
followers.
Everyone tell Dylan to follow me. Follow me. Follow
Jeb
it's-
10.
Follow me to my channel, twitch.tv/RhizoMRHYZOHM. Follow Mythic and Mythic Politics, twitch.tv Mythic Politics.
Jeb 10 RIP on Twitter.
Gonna throw it over to
Don't
Stardust.
follow me.
Follow me.
You know, for the past like 5 years, all I hear is people jerking off about Elon Musk. It's either hate jerking off or love jerking off. I never see any indifference. It's always a bunch of dudes on the internet saying, "Oh yeah, did you see what Elon Musk said? Did you see what he tweeted out? Oh yeah," or like, that guy sucks. Oh, I hate him so much," but they're still jerking off to him. I'm tired of it. I don't give a fuck about Elon Musk. Like our Rhizome said, I don't think it does anything if he owns Twitter or not. I've yet to see anything that shows that it's going to be such a huge difference. Prove me wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. But you know what? Until then, I don't really care. Keep jerking off about Elon Musk. I just don't want to be part of it, okay?
And end stream before you start jerking it.
Throwing it over to Turk. Sure.
So I could care less really about how the right is kind of co-opting the whole freedom of speech thing, because at the end of the day, I think we covered it a lot here. Elon Musk isn't going to be the one sitting there like reading everyone's tweets saying, I like this one, I don't like this one. There's still going to be rules and all that other stuff that's going on, moderation, automated, whatever. But what I think is more fun is the whole antics behind it, because right now Elon's in a win-win scenario. If he actually gets Twitter, he has to actually then work and like actually make the platform great again, right? And I would rather build my own platform than try and recoup while people that actively hate you are trying to undermine that success. So I think the best case for Elon is that the board declines it. He then goes on a Twitter feed and just freaking gets all the negative sentiment, dumps his stock, and then Twitter goes down by like 20% or whatever, and like everyone's like, "Oh my God, we won!" It's like, wait, no, we lost a whole bunch of money. So I could care less about how it goes, but Twitter's not a real place. I'm with Rhizome on this. Y'all should just go to other platforms or just go read a book or something.
True.
Okay. So now we're going to go into the last topic of the night. Again, I would appreciate if everybody watching tonight's show would support the channel, donate, sub, all of that stuff. I appreciate any support you throw our way to the channel. And thank you again for tuning in to the Hippy Dippy Roundtable every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I appreciate everybody tuning in for what is now the longest and biggest ongoing panel show in political Twitch. Happy to continue the HD TV empire as we continue to bring people from the recruitment show, our developmental brand, to the main show, which I think is the first ever show we've had with majority recruitment show people. So I think that's really showing that brand is like starting to show more and more and more as a testing ground for political Twitch. We're now going to go into the last topic, which is Twitch politics too white? The question really basically is about representation on Twitch. How do we deal? Is this an issue? That's the first thing. And how do we deal with this if you believe it's an issue? This was prompted by a lovely discourse recently. In fact, I'll even throw it over to Rhizome first. Okay.
Hey, yeah, I'm gonna cape for white people really quick. Hold on, guys, get ready. I'm gonna do my token shit according to Endless. So, basically, Twitch, in my opinion, obviously sees the same. Like, it is born of a system that has systemic oppression or has oppressive mechanisms built within it, and people who are on Twitch are going to be the type of people who have the privilege to be able to just do what they like, to stream to no audience, to build shit up, to make no money, and have a side project while for a couple years before it pays off. That type of person, by and large, is going to fit into the same type of demographic that we might see with more privileged identities outside of the platform. So I think Twitch is white, but I don't think it's white because white people do better and people like white people more on Twitch. I mean, maybe there is some bias there, obviously, because that's how it works in real and like outside the platform too. But I think the bias is there's a low barrier to entry, or there's a high barrier to entry for some people when it comes to like having a stable internet connection and a PC. If you are somebody who can have those things and have the free time available to just like dedicate yourself to this, then you'll probably see success on Twitch to some extent, right? So I do think that there is a privilege problem with Twitch, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's exclusively like because of race, right?
Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Stardust.
Yeah. So is there a representation problem on Twitch? In some cases, on Twitch, maybe. In Twitch politics, probably, definitely. Twitch's audience is overwhelmingly male and mostly white. It's not like a bad thing, it's just the reality of the situation. That being the case, audiences often like to watch people they relate to or people that remind them of themselves. It makes sense, that being the case, and knowing Twitch's demographic, that people who most relate to the audience are going to rise to the top a little bit easier than people who don't. So you're going to see more like white male representation on Twitch in creators and in audiences, just because of that. And on Twitch as a whole, female creators, they have a higher floor, but they also have a lower ceiling in comparison to their male counterparts when it comes to achieving. So like people like Amaranth put in a lot of work, and she's still not like in the top 10 viewed people on Twitch, right? So yeah, I think there is a representation problem. I'm not really sure what the solution is to it, because it just, the audience again is overwhelmingly white and overwhelmingly male, and I don't think it's their fault that they're choosing to watch people that they relate to.
Okay, I'm now going to throw it over to Turk.
Yeah, so if we're talking Twitch politics versus, standard Twitch, I would say that Twitch politics has a severe problem, and that's because all of you guys are lefties, and there's like very few conservative people. And all I can say is if you want to be successful in Twitch politics, all you have to do is be conservative, and you'll get on like every panel that's on the world, because no one else wants to yell in echo chambers. I could name a whole bunch of panels you could instantly walk onto because you're conservative. But I actually agree with a lot of what Stardust said. The audience is a certain demographic. The majority of the people that have and what Rhizome said, the majority of the people that have the ability to actually do this type of thing, they have more time, they have more facilities. But one of the things that I do personally on my channel and stuff is try and actually make it more accessible and tell people how to actually set up their stuff. Dylan's on my laptop. Getting into streaming is not as hard as everyone thinks. You literally, all you need is a cell phone and like edge connection. If you got a low enough bit rate, you can talk whatever you want. And what's great is you can look at a lot of these top dollar streamers. They're their production quality is shit, and I have really bad takes, but they're popular, and that's why they succeed. I really wish that more people would make the chance and try out streaming for 3, 5, 6 months and see what happens. And that's why I'm here. I don't care who you are, what affiliation you are. You can come and ask me tech questions, and I can help you out.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Ranger and Rogue.
Yeah, I don't believe that there is a racial divide per se on Twitch. It's not like it's intrinsically written in the algorithm to push only white people to this section of Twitch. I think Twitch politics is very diverse. Obviously, once you start getting up into the larger creators, I definitely agree with what Stardust said regarding to the floor and ceiling of men and women. This is not to discredit any discrimination or hate that someone may be subjected to on the platform. But again, I mean, I've been on the internet since dial-up Windows 95, and there are trolls on the internet since the dawn of time. I mean, it's nothing specific. It's not a special type of hate. I'm not saying that there are no special hate raids that go out, but the vast majority of trolls are just going to capitalize on immutable characteristics, including myself.
Okay, I'm gonna send it over to Preacher.
Yeah, I don't see a big division at all. I mean, when you look at, especially being a conservative, there's very few conservative women, especially as streamers. And again, even black conservatives as streamers, you don't see that many. But I think that's probably by choice. But then when you look at the left, I mean, you got Joe. I can't remember the one dude who does panels. Oh man, he did the all black. Yeah, no, not Fanatic, but you have him. But then you had the guy did the all black panel. I mean, and he was never. Yeah, and he was never hurting for people on there. And I could be wrong too, though, because I don't pay a whole lot of attention, to be honest with you. Not to be a dick or anything like that. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to all that stuff out there. I do my show. I chit chat with a small group of people on the left and right, and I mind my own business and I stay out of drama. So that's probably why I don't see a lot of it. So as far as I can see, I don't see a representation issue. I think maybe more of a participation issue than anything.
Okay, next we're gonna throw it over to Mythic.
Okay, yes, of course, there's a representation problem on Twitch. I don't know what the nucleation of that, I don't know what the origin of that representation issue is. Twitch politics very white, of course. I'm sure there's more people of color streaming in other categories like that. I don't know if it's self-selection thing. I don't know why that is. It seems to not represent the broader collective of people in America. The diversity we see in America, it's not really matched in the Twitch politics space specifically. I don't know. I think that platforms like this would be good for people of diverse backgrounds. I think that if Twitch did something where marginally they promoted smaller streamers, new streamers over gigantic monolithic streamers, and there's the income incentive to do so because they know that big streamers can babysit a chat. They have long retention. There's reasons to do it, but some interstitial ground, maybe new up and comers. I don't know. I've never really looked at the Twitch homepage, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know, something like that. Broadly speaking, I'm not really for like a diversity panel, like sort of picking and choosing people of color streamers to signal boost necessarily, because that would lead to a lot of weird conversations, actualities, and sort of like labeling of people, and we don't like label frogs, right? So I think that there's a diversity problem on Twitch. I think promoting new streamers would largely fix that. And ultimately, because race is a social construct, if you feel underrepresented, you should just change your race, and then you're done.
Wonderful. We're now going to throw it over to Kevin Logan.
Yes, as a white person who last minute replaced a person of colour on this panel, this feels like a slightly strange topic for me to be addressing, but there we go. I think there is undoubtedly something of a representation problem, in the sense that whilst you can't ever get absolute parity between any particular platform and the specific characteristics of a society, I think the fact that there's such a disparity between the number of men and women, A, using the platform, and B, viewing the platform, and the number of people of color, and their sort of relative population percentages and stuff, I think is undoubtedly a part of some systemic issue that I don't know how to necessarily solve. But I think Twitch cracking down on some of the hate raids and some of the kind of abuse that people do, I think would be one way of starting that. And just to the, I wasn't necessarily planning on saying this, but to the preacher's point about black conservatives, I think probably one of the problems you're going to have there is there aren't that many black conservatives in general. So just, I mean, there aren't a massive pool of people that would do that necessarily.
And Jeb, to wrap up intros for the final topic.
Yeah, so when it comes to like these conversations, obviously, like with the last conversation, I'm looking at the practical value of it. So saying like, oh, I don't care about Twitter, it's like, okay, yeah, but there's not much practical value to that. So the practical value to this one is like, is there a diversity problem on Twitch that can be helped by Twitch? I don't think so. I think generally, like Rhizome had mentioned, like it comes down to if you have the level of internet you need and the tech that you need, you can do it. So there could be a privilege barrier, but I don't think there's a diversity issue that Twitch themselves could help. Now, could people maybe seek out more diverse creators? Sure. But I don't think there's generally a diversity issue on Twitch in the sense that, Twitch needs to start implementing certain guidelines to put more diverse creators on the forefront. Because, like, for me in particular, I think that, like, my experience on Twitch has been pretty diverse across all spectrums. And I think that's the other issue when looking at this topic is there's racial diversity and like gender diversity, LGBTQ plus community diversity. And I think I've experienced quite a bit of that on Twitch. So I think as far as Twitch can help, no. But as far as viewers can help, they could probably, seek out more diverse creators.
Okay, I'm now going to open it up, and Rhizome was just going to grab it.
Yeah, I just want to grab it just because I was mentioned in Jeb's statement there. Once you pass that barrier to entry, you can stream. That doesn't mean you're going to make it. I'm saying that I think the reason that we're seeing people who can like do this for years and years is because they have those privilege. Now, what Stardust said, I agree with too, that people are going to relate more with a character or persona that they identify with. And that's why you're going to see people who are at the top who represent majority identities. Like what we're going to see on Twitch, and I don't think any of us are going to disagree with this. Maybe Ranger will disagree with this because Ranger in his opening statement said that these biases aren't intrinsically built into the platform via algorithm. Of course they're not, but we see the same kind of biases play into Twitch that we see elsewhere in society. So it is going to skew a certain way. And just because when we like are in Twitch politics and we can find smaller creators who have a multivariate identity doesn't mean that that is a representative sample of what we find on Twitch. And we need to actually look into the demographic breakdown. And when we do that, and when we look at who's at the top, and when we look at the majority identity representation at the top versus any other minority representation, we see that there's a huge disparity in the top creators. We see that most of them are young, white, cis men. Like that's what we see.
Yeah. And I think there's something.
How is that?
Oh, go on. Sorry.
How is that? I'm sorry. He just addressed me. First, yeah. I agree with you. Second, how? So I fully understand what you're saying in regards to marginalized people, but they are marginalized. So how is that relative to, let's say, the demographic in the United States? Has anyone?
Good question. But what I'm trying to say is the highest earners and the people who are doing the best on the platform, even though they're creators who are arguably in a similar lane doing great content, we see that the highest earners fit into the majority identity. That's all I'm really trying to point to here. And I think that comes from similar biases that we see off platform too. Now, can Twitch do something about that? That's a larger question that we can have. Sure. But like, I do think that there are these biases in place. I don't think that we see a wide enough sample of people earning at the top.
I can understand what you're saying there. But I also think it depends on how widely you apply majority identity, right? Because when we talk about, as far as majority identity, right? Like Amaranth is a huge streamer. She's in the top 10. She makes a ton, especially if you incorporate what she's making on other platforms. Like as far as
10 viewed.
Well, what I'm saying is like
subbed.
Sorry, that's what I was saying is like when you incorporate the income made holistically, like you sort of have to expand the idea of majority identity, because if you put like a holistic income figure on it, right? Amaranth is probably one of the top earners on Twitch, but
OnlyFans, sure, yeah.
But again, like that's an income stream that like traditionally white cis males, which is like the majority identity, aren't going to be able to tap into as effectively. So I think that should be part of the calculation. And I understand, like, because we're coming at this from, is there an issue and is there something Twitch can do about it? I don't think Twitch can do anything about the diversity issue as far as subs and views on Twitch because of what you guys were saying. I don't think it's anything they're doing. I think it's up to the viewers and what they're seeking out. But I also think then if we're talking about what Twitch can't control that incorporates in the income of like the top earners on Twitch, OnlyFans kind of comes into that too, because, you know, you have to really stretch the idea of the majority identity to make it seem as insular. But I do understand that, like, I think viewers should generally seek out like people who look differently than them, because like I relate a lot as a white cis conservative male with some of the takes that Rhizome has as a biracial, you know, on the left, you know, more Democrat leaning male. But I think I agree that Twitch can't do anything about that.
Boom.
And NB, yeah. So like I don't think Twitch can do anything about that, but they also can't do anything about some of the other platforms people are making money on. So I would just say maybe we as creators could encourage our audiences to maybe seek out more diverse opinions, but I don't know that Twitch could do anything about it.
Yeah, shout out to base Democrat Rhizome #1. Shout
Yeah,
out to
I
him, but
immediately
also-
heard your chat typing as soon as he said that.
okay.
I'm so sorry, Rise. I'm so
super
sorry.
base
Whatever.
Democrat Rhizome #1. I agree, and to double down on what Rhizome said about the like literally the first world privilege, the capability of being streaming, having a console, a PC, and whatever, having all the peripherals, the camera, the light, everything else like that. And having fucking good internet. There's a bunch of things that where people in that privileged position have less barrier of entry to get in there. That's true. First and foremost, though, there are places that are hyper fucking diverse. Look at TikTok. The IRL and TikTok is crushing the IRL on Twitch. Why? Because this is a gaming platform. This is literally they're trying to make it other stuff now. This is first and foremost a fucking gaming platform. Gaming makes up 88% of the just everything on here, and every other category combined is like the other 12%. And politics is a very teeny section of that. So we're talking about fucking gamer bros, and gamer bros are going to be self-selected for fucking white dudes with fucking proximity chat, consoles, and whoopity whoop. I don't think that you're ever going to convince a plurality of people to get off of Twitch or TikTok or Instagram and come here. I think Twitch just needs to worry about doing what they can do to signal boost the diversity that's here or inclined to be here because they're associated with the gaming space somewhat peripherally, and then just fucking say GG. I mean, that's all.
Yeah, and what I would say when it comes to the idea,
I would like to like comment on some stuff that Jeb was saying about Amaranth regarding like the OnlyFans stuff. I think that there's a point there. A lot of women make like a lot of money off of OnlyFans. I think part of that though is like the fact that like a lot of women I think end up having to do OnlyFans to kind of make up that income, you know? So as much as there are women who benefit from that and primarily, you know, do really well on OnlyFans, there are quite a few that are making up for a lot of that lost income that their counterparts on Twitch are making, but they're making it through like the OnlyFans posting like Instagram equivalent pictures on their OnlyFans, right? So yeah, I think that there's definitely like it was like an interesting point to bring up, and I think that still primarily like I'm not sure that which we would do first, whether we would be pushing like more marginalized content creators, whether that would help the problem, or whether like marketing Twitch towards more female audiences would help. I'm not really sure what would be the solution there, but there are like a variety of things that we could do, I guess.
I think that's probably a good. Sorry, Turk. Go ahead.
No, so this, I mean, I don't want to like derail or anything, or take it over to not what the topic is, but
are we going to talk about conservatives versus left? Please, no.
No.
All right, great.
Yeah, because we win.
I wouldn't go that far. This
Not
all
in- not in
boils
general
down
elections.
to this boils down to a larger deficiency to what the
Why you gotta be
Twitch
like that?
platform actually has, and that's just discoverability. Because as a smaller creator, it's very difficult for people to actually find your channel or actually interact with other people that are willing to give you the time of day. That's why panels like this or other sorts of panels are good for smaller creators to get their name out there.
Yeah.
But that's not Twitch that's actually doing it. So if Twitch was to actually prop up smaller creators better, it could also be some of these marginalized communities that are propped up a little bit better. That's solely on Twitch, and we can definitely tell Twitch that they have to start doing these types of things. But unfortunately, Twitch doesn't have that as their priority. They're still going to Rhizome's point, catering to the larger creators that bring in the larger bucks, that bring in the eyes, the ad revenue, and the sponsors, and all the other things that go with it. So it's like, who are you going to yell at? Are you going to yell at Twitch, or are you going to yell at people that don't have a stable internet connection?
Yeah,
That's why I do what I do, and it's like I try to help out whoever's wanting to start streaming.
Well, this is the thing. As a British person, the most oppressed of the minorities, really, when you think about it. It is difficult for people to necessarily find your stuff or to connect with you in a way, which is why you should all go and follow me at KFLogan1875.
True, and I also want to say it's not only women that have to go to those other risque platforms. Find me on OF/Mythic Politics.
I do just want to say really quick, I do think there are a lot of tools that, oh, my bad, motorcycle in the background, but I do think there are a lot of tools that Twitch can use to prop up people if they did have that goal, if they did want to make the representation better. I think it would be against their bottom line, though, in the sense that Twitch is motivated to generate traffic to the platform, and they want to have people come to the platform, spend money, stay here for a while, right? So if
And
those are their
retention's a huge thing.
Yeah, retention's a huge thing. So they have to promote the things that they know are like tried and true, and that's always going to be these top heavy streamers, and that's going to tend more or less to be people who are in majority identities, right? So Twitch can do things, but it's not within their incentives to do so. It would just affect their bottom line negatively to promote smaller people and to put them out there. And like Twitch has done this. I mean, we've tried to do it on like on a streamer side. I don't remember if you guys know, or like remember that like Twitch blackout like day, like where there were days where it was like white creators were not going to stream in order to prop up people of color, and like there's been moves to do this and there's been a drive to do this in the community, but like nothing that really generates the kind of results that we would like hope to see, right? When you look at, again, the top earners on Twitch, you just see huge disparities. When you look at the mid earners, you're going to see more representation, of course.
If you compare this media site to other popular media sites like YouTube, they have actually somewhat solved the discoverability issue, where like you can be super popular or super successful on YouTube, but if you come over to Twitch, no one's going to find you and no one's going to search for you and all that stuff. Whereas if you're making cool content on YouTube, there's definitely a way that you can game the YouTube system in order to get those views. So it's like Twitch as a platform is not good, period, but it's also negative to some of the stuff you said, Rhizome, earlier, that if you're going to be live streaming, you have to have certain comforts in your life in order to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, like if I didn't have a job that could pay my rent, like I just wouldn't be able to do this, right? So I have that job, and it affords me a little bit of time too because of the position that it is, like for where I can go on Twitch a little bit. I can do a little bit of work during the daytime. So I'm really lucky in that regard. But most people who would want to start stream, I think in America, wouldn't just be able to do it tomorrow. I think it would take time, potentially saving money, right? And even just like logistically schedule wise, like people probably just could never do it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what I was going to jump off of, was, and it might be a shift in the conversation, so obviously if anybody has anything else to say, they can say something completely unrelated to what I'm saying. But how much, I guess, do we think the onus is on Twitch, knowing their profit incentive and what will help their bottom line, and on creators, and what we think creators could do to help it? Because I know, to Turk's thing about discoverability, dude, like I haven't been streaming at all. This is my first time streaming, and I've already had like 2 Hippy Dippy recruitments. I've talked on Sonsol's stream with like Jangle's Science Lab and things like that. Like by the grace of other creators who have, liked what I had to say and appreciated that even though I have a different viewpoint, my ability to communicate on their platform is the only reason why I decided to stream today, because I could make it to affiliate and things like that a lot easier. What do we think that maybe creators could do to help it, since Twitch probably will never have the incentive to? Because I agree that I think it's going to sort of be, creators trying to incorporate people from different viewpoints, different backgrounds, and different identities on their platform. But again, to go back to what this topic sort of was sourced from, not just for the sake of getting new identities on your platform, because when you get that culture in, then you get this toxicity of people calling people racist because they won't have them on their platform, or people calling people like racist because they, degrade what somebody else's take was on a certain subject. What do we think creators can do to create a more diverse platform, but also avoid the traps and pitfalls of the identity politics and being like, oh, I can call people racist if they don't have me on their stream or they don't agree with my take?
That's a non-issue. The second part of you're saying about like people invoking idpol, that's cope and cringe from zero viewer Andes anyways. It doesn't fucking matter. The main thing that people can do to get a lot of traction on this fucking space is to literally just be fucking good at what you do. That's difficult. Yeah. There's it's very hard to be entertaining, to manage chat, have good reaction, to do stuff in an entertaining fashion. So like number one, they need to work on themselves. There's something that we could do like Dylan does when he platform Trihex, Rhizome, Hope Disguise, I Bam Bam Bigelow, Gothix TX, Some Ruin, Mr. Fanatic, GUSA Gambit, Joe Lewis, Prod to Prince, Prime K, Trop Dolphin, Josie, Rosie C, Cherry, Katarina, Stardust. You can platform people of color with a diversity of ethnicity, immutable traits, and of ideology. There's something that we can do as creators in doing stuff like that, akin to what Dylan's doing on this panel. But I would there's also, that's hard to do because there's less representation on Twitch overall. So we can select for the better diversity that we want to see. If we're mindful of it, we can select for the more of the diversity that we want to see. But primarily, it's going to be about what people are willing to fucking watch. We can't command people to fucking put eyeballs on us when we're doing stuff.
And what I would say to what you said, Jeb, is like when it comes to the user side, like there's already a lot going on. People network like crazy with other streamers. People are motivated because it's mutually beneficial to push people into other streams and bring up those communities. And no one's going to be like, oh, well, they're a black creator. like maybe there's not a concentrated push for it, but people are already doing networking. People are already kind of thinking about how do they boost each other up? How do they how do they make more opportunity out of a platform that gives them so little opportunity? I definitely agree with Mythic. First impressions are everything. And I also think that might play into it. If you're somebody who has lesser means, right? You might not be able to afford a good camera. You might not be able to afford a good laptop or a computer. You might not be able to afford something like a good microphone, right? You might not be able to afford an overlay if you don't know how to do graphic work. Like I'm really lucky that I can do that kind of stuff, right? And some people who are on this panel like are really lucky to be able to like take time and put that kind of quality into their product, but not people wouldn't be able to do that if they just like got a laptop, use the built-in camera, use the built-in microphone, use a fucking like stock overlay. Like their shit's gonna look ass and nobody's gonna want to stick around. And that is also a problem of access, right?
You'd be surprised at how many popular streamers don't have many of the things you just mentioned.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but they're coming from a totally different time on the platform, right? A lot of those. Well, let me just say this, Turk. I'll let you get in, but my whole thing on this is you see Trainwrecks, you see Hassan, you see XQC. These guys have been doing this at a time where there weren't a lot of other streamers who were generating traffic and in at that time. After 2020 with COVID, you see millions of creators coming onto the platform, and all of those people are at a need to have some kind of edge in the marketplace. Twitch back in what it was in 2016, 17, 18 in terms of the product that it was offering is incredibly different than what it is today. Online content creation too, people are looking for it to be a TV replacement, so they want that quality whether they're actively asking for it or not. And you wouldn't be able to stand out amongst the competition if you didn't have something to offer them.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was trying to get to with the conversation. Sorry, I wasn't saying like what can we do as in like there's nothing we can do, right? I agree that Dylan's a good example and this is a good example of how you do it. I think, but I was opening kind of the question of what we can do, and I think Rhizome sort of hinted toward a good idea that I don't know if he was specifically promoting, but I think could be a good idea. Like, do we promote a little more pointed efforts to get people the access to just stream, because I don't know how many efforts there are to get people the means to stream. I know there are charities to get people food in their mouths and healthcare and things like that, but like, is there maybe a creator focused effort to get more people the means to stream? Do we just focus on networking, getting more people on panels and getting better representation on panels? It wasn't that I don't think we can do anything. It's that I genuinely do think creators are the only ones who can do something, because I don't know that Twitch can control what their user base is watching, but we can control like who the people watching us see on our streams, is what I was saying.
True, so
Really
learn-
quick,
learn
Mythic.
to-
I'll let you
learn to
in really
stream.
quick, Mythic. I'll let you in really quick. I just want to say there's a lot of streamer mutual aid out there, but it's not formalized. Go
True.
for it, Mythic.
Got
Yeah,
it. Awesome.
there's streamers right now I'm helping too. There's two specifically of color streamers that I'm helping with their like literally the fucking hardware shit that they would need to up their stream. There is stuff, it's not formalized, but also, so is learn to stream the new learn to code?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm just saying is like, is there something we can do? Not we need to force it or everybody should be obligated to do so. I'm just sort of like, we know Twitch isn't incentivized to do it, and we know that even within their limited tools, like the ways they would go about doing.
I'll be honest with you all. I am fucking bored.
City, but maybe just because of the way things are, it's more on the creators. I wasn't saying like, oh, we have to or it's our fault. It's just more so like, if someone's going to do it, why not us?
I'm bored.
I think
think
people
effectively-
recognize that already. Like, go ahead,
so-
Mythic. I think you're gonna say something similar.
Yeah, I think
so
effectively
I'm
Twitch
bored.
isn't doing shit.
Start us right after you're done.
I'm
Okay?
really
Yeah, I
bored
think
by this.
effectively Twitch isn't doing anything. They're effectively doing the same thing that they've always done, because the majority of their people are fucking gamers who are G Fuel guzzling Hassan Simps, XQCers. They're just straight juicers, bro. That's who the lion's share of this thing is. And if I agree that there's a lot that we can do as like having panels and having streams where we co-stream, we do collabos. Who we raid into matters too. There is a lot of stuff like that, but I think by and large, all Twitch can really do is prioritize, give some real estate on the front page for new streamers, more randomize it, do what you can as much as possible to enlift and franchise new streamers. I like the new the boost stream, like it's a hype train, but it does the boost. I haven't gotten them. I think they're rolling them out on new channels. I've seen smaller streamers get the boost thing where they get promoted on the homepage when someone does a hype train completion. I like little things like that. I think that they could lean into stuff like that, but by and large, I don't think you can fix something after the fact. I think that TikTok and Instagram exist for other market spaces.
I think we need to see Twitch market towards women more. It makes no sense why we have so many female gamers out there, but Twitch itself as a platform has such an overwhelmingly male audience. It makes no sense to me. There are a lot of women gamers out there.
Do you have a
and there are a lot of
percentage?
women. There are a lot of women who consume, video content on YouTube. I just don't understand why we can't seem to get more female users on this site.
Do you have a percentage of like men or male to female like gamers? I'm just curious. I don't disagree with you. I think it would be a good thing, but it kind of goes into the whole, what's the market you're trying to serve? If you're just putting more female gamers out there because you want more female gamers out there, that might be counterproductive.
I'm not asking to put female gamers out there as creators. I'm talking about Twitch marketing its platform as a video watching service to people who are already gamers who happen to be
Yeah,
female.
expanding scope. Got it.
Yeah, because that's the thing is I think I agree, but I don't know if targeting female gamers is the way to do it. Just because again, yeah, it's more of a niche group. Because I know YouTube, the way that they seemed to increase
Females
their
are.
female
What do you
viewership-
mean niche group? What do you mean niche group?
No, I'm not saying. Hold on, I'm not saying.
Population.
No, I'm not.
51%
No,
niche.
hold on. I'm not saying 50%. I'm not saying women are the niche group. I'm saying women gamers are the niche group.
It's
I
not
think
a niche
targeting.
group, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Stardust
saying.
is-
50%.
Stardust is wanting to broaden the accessibility and the type of content that
audience.
Twitch.
That's what- no,
trying-
that's what-
Not
yeah,
not
that's
the
what I'm saying.
content, The audience. We need to market Twitch to more female audiences.
That's what
But
I was
not-
saying. Hold on, I was getting there. So the way YouTube increased their female viewership was by putting on a higher pedestal their lifestyle and beauty creators. But I don't know if they increase their female audience much by focusing on the gaming aspect. That's what I was saying. It's pretty indisputable that as YouTube increased the elevation of their lifestyle and their beauty creators, their female viewership increased. I agree that female gamers are an underserved community, but I don't know if
the content though. It's about the audience.
No, and I agree, but what I'm saying is from a marketing perspective, if you're looking to get as many female viewers as possible, I think Twitch would be more incentivized to target the content that women like to watch more on a general
Okay,
sense
Jeb.
as opposed to targeting female gamers.
Do you think that there's a large
Femoids, am I right?
No,
Do you yes or
I
no?
specifically said there's not. That's what I'm saying.
Based on
Based on the typical viewership of gaming-focused platforms.
It's 41%. 41% of gamers are female.
But
I
are
think that's
41% of
significant
people
enough.
consuming like live stream content on gaming is who Twitch is trying to get. Like gamers
If
don't
they can
represent the
market
same
it
community that's
towards
going to
male
watch it.
gamers, if they can market it towards male gamers, why can't they market Twitch towards female gamers? It's 41%. You're missing out on a huge market here.
But the
No, I'm not saying
Are
we
they
shouldn't.
41? Are they 41% of like PC gamers though? Because my wife games, she considers
Exactly,
herself a
yeah.
gamer, but it's on the phone, and she's not a terminally online fucking dungeon dweller like me. She goes out and touches grass and has like friends and fucking like coworkers,
I'm
and then
not
she
sure,
gets
but
along
maybe
with and
we
other
need
stuff.
more audience members who touch grass. You know, maybe that's not a bad thing. Typically, women are going to be touching grass more a little bit anyways because
Right.
they have to, because there are, you know, just the way that we're socialized. But yeah, there's no reason why we can't be marketing towards more female viewers.
Well, I'm
No,
going to
and
tell
that's
you
what I'm
right
saying.
now.
Is I'm arguing to more effectively market toward female viewers. They would probably just market a lot like more diverse content that women like to watch. Because what he's saying is like, yes, like you said,
they like the
women
games
do need
people are playing, but they're not on the platform where people are watching them play the games they like.
like Stardust even admitted like, oh, they have to touch grass more because
People. This. I mean, what is even going on here? What is this?
If we're talking about women who are out and about and stuff like that, right?
yeah, and I'm not saying we
This is driving me up the fucking wall.
thing is it's not as simple as just target women gamers. I'm trying to expand the conversation as to how we would do that. Do we do it by marketing the mobile aspect of Twitch? Like from a sales perspective, we need to market the aspects of Twitch that the female audience would be more drawn to is what
I
I'm
can
saying.
answer this whole thing.
Mobile lifestyle, like things like that.
Yeah,
Babies,
lipstick.
puppies.
Yeah,
Listen,
lipstick,
if
high
Twitch-
heels. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If
100%.
Twitch would follow my marketing technique, all right, I have a very and diverse group of women because I started on OnlyFans, and then I said, hey, if you guys want to see me with my clothes on and hear me talking, come over to Twitch.
Hold on,
that's
I
the-
wanna
Okay,
get
don't-
in the conversation because
no,
people keep
don't-
acting like,
don't-
oh, babies and puppies, like there isn't
Hey.
actually a difference
Are you
between what
doubting my
women
OnlyFans?
consume.
For the
And what-
record, I am not on OnlyFans. I have no plans to be on OnlyFans. It's not something that's going to happen in my future. But
I am.
Yeah.
But
What is wrong with
politics
OnlyFans?
OnlyFans.
Am I being judged right
I should
now?
start a Hippy Dippy OnlyFans brand.
I was just
think
gonna
that
say-
might not be a
Calendar, we
terrible
could do a
idea.
Just got your first
calendar.
sub.
Yeah,
You just got your
Calendar.
first sub.
Yo, a Hippy Dippy
A-
calendar is
a
actually a
calendar.
fantastic idea.
I
Dude,
feel like that's
Destiny,
being
now
judged
that
right
he's
now.
getting
Let's go.
jacked, dude.
Also,
Listen,
preacher,
here's my thing.
preacher,
Now-
don't
now-
don't
Hippy Dippy
tease
will be
us.
first
Don't
January.
tease
I'm
us
gonna
with an
be serious
OnlyFans.
here.
Drop the link. Come on now. What's going on?
But anyway, so what I'm
All
saying
right.
is, I think there's an issue in this conversation where people keep saying like high heels and puppies, and are we not acknowledging that like female audiences do seek out different things than male audiences? Like live streaming is huge on the actual Amazon.com because
What
of
do you
female
think we're
viewership
saying?
on,
Of
like, home
course,
shopping
they
networks.
seek out different content, but you can still steer more of them towards Twitch. You can
I
still
would-
steer
No,
more.
That's what I'm
If
saying
you're-
is every
if
time
you're
I
gonna
say
ask
advertise,
If
sorry.
you were to ask me how to market towards more women gamers, I would say we need to focus not just on young people, right? We need to focus
Mm-hmm.
on people who are in their homes more, right? Like parents of children, right? I'm sure there are plenty of women gamers who have children, right? And you can't
And the
always
last
go out.
thing they want to do is
Yeah.
sit down and watch a Twitch stream. Come on, Stardust.
I
But
would- I
hold
would
on,
say
hold
that
on.
He
No,
was talking
when
about.
Don't
he was
we
dismiss
don't
talking
it.
have
about
time to go out. What do you
he-
think?
he was talking about monetizing or promoting VODs. I don't hate that idea. Also, doing more mobile gaming seems like if women are more predisposed to do mobile gaming. Yeah, do ads on mobile gaming stuff to promote it, and sign more contracts, incentivize, do a progressive stack when you're signing new partners. Go out and actively, in the same way YouTube's doing, where they're stealing fucking Twitch streamers. Why don't you actually go and fucking recruit people for who are active, can captivate an audience on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, incentivize them to come over here to Twitch with good partnership deals.
Yeah, because I think I'm phrasing myself improperly, because what I'm trying to say is it's not that we can't cater to like more women. What I'm saying is we should promote specific initiatives to get more women on the platform. But when I say that, people then like meme it and they say like, oh, like high heels and puppies. No, like more mobile gaming, like things focused on the thing that they have the data that women like to watch more. They know what their female viewership likes to watch more now. They're part of Amazon, so they know that the home shopping, like things like all that data mining that they've done on their female viewership on that side of things, they have a lot of information on what women like to watch. So if mobile gaming's an incentive, let's promote mobile gaming. But I don't think you can just put out a commercial saying, hey, female gamers, come to Twitch. Like, I don't think that's going to do anything versus actually
in that
looking
voice
at
it
what
might.
I'm saying, thank you. But I'm saying if we address what women actually like to watch more on Twitch, then we can market to women not by saying we're marketing to women in like this way that doesn't actually get people on the platform, but by using the actual sales techniques that are tried and true. And instead of attacking women as an audience explicitly in the ads, attacking what they like to watch. That tends to get you more traction as opposed to just saying, hey, women, come to Twitch. That's what I'm saying.
I have a serious question for
the
Stardust.
result.
I don't think I'm arguing for people to say like, "Hey, woman, come to Twitch." You know, I think I think mobile gaming is one way, but there are plenty of women who also partake in PC gaming.
Stardust, I wanted to ask you because you had said something before about directing more at female gamers. Now, I'm not a gamer. I play games, but I'm not a gamer. Isn't like advertising? Isn't it just advertising to gamers in general? Is there a separation between male and female gamers that they wouldn't see the same type of advertisement?
I'm sure that there's a little bit of a difference. I'm sure that there's a little bit of a difference. I'm sure, just like we were talking about earlier, if an audience is going to watch people that they relate more to, right? So. Yeah, if you, display a more diverse group of people when you're advertising a platform or something like that, maybe you would attract a more diverse group of people. Who knows?
So maybe I should start challenging female gamers on my channel then.
So wouldn't it make more sense for more female gamers that fit that similar demographic to have them be also content creators? Because that's the entire topic.
Not? Yeah.
Well, because they're not going to be viewed because it's not accessible, and that's the problem. People that join
YouTubers. You recruit YouTubers who already have an audience. Say, hey, I'll pay you X amount of dollars to be over here.
Are there
draw an audience for that content
more
that's there.
Accessible. That's promoting Twitch as being a platform
this
for
is
that.
going to be like the egg and the chicken argument. I don't know which one comes first, honestly. But I think definitely, trying to get more viewers, more diverse group of viewers here would be good, right?
Well, yeah, and I'll be honest with you. Doing politics, I don't see doing a conservative stream. I don't see a whole lot of females in the conservative politics streams. When I have a few that come in, but it's majority male in the stream.
And only Twitch politics itself scares off a lot of
just angry white guys.
Twitch politics itself generally scares off a lot of women. So yeah, I don't.
Have we considered?
I don't mean to be intimidating. I work.
Yeah, and I don't know, because if you look at some of the top earning conservative streamers, though, if we're gonna meme on conservatives and their share of women, if we're looking at top earners in conservative content creation as far as live streaming goes, Lauren Southern's up there. I don't know that.
Hang on, whoa!
Conservatism that's pushing
I thought you were
people
saying. I thought you were saying that you didn't want people associating the far right with conservatism. What's going on there, friend? What's that about?
No one said the far right. He said conservative.
I said Lauren Southern. Well, Lauren Southern is far right. She's not a conservative, is she?
She shares kind of market share from both.
No, she said she's reformed, guys.
Yeah, she's fine.
Well, what I'm saying is from a market perspective on if conservatism's going to, if we're arguing conservatism just scares away women by nature of it being conservatism, I think that's wrong, because people that consider themselves conservative, out of top earners, they're Lauren
we
Southern's
just
probably one of
we
the
need to
top
ban.
earners of conservative.
We need
live streaming.
Well, we just need to ban all conservatives then. It's the only answer.
Wow.
It's the only answer.
I don't
Just
get the
crack
logical
the whip
leap
on
being,
that one.
I don't get the logical leap being made here. Like,
Well,
like
I'm-
under
I'm
what-
being
memeing,
scared
but-
away by conservatives on Twitch.
Yeah,
politics. Women are being scared
That's what I'm
away
saying,
by
yeah.
assholes, basically.
Exactly,
So,
yes.
yeah.
I would like to see
Yeah,
more
conservatives,
women
yeah,
and
yeah.
people of color in the streams, to be honest with you. I think diversity of thought, especially with a lot of the subjects that have been coming up lately, a lot of the topics, the diversity of thought is necessary. It just really is.
Okay, how about this
Yeah.
then? We get rid of all men.
I'm
Come
down
on
for
now.
that. Deport
Come
all
on.
men.
Why are
I'm
women-
down
Dude,
for
yeah,
it.
no, hold
where
on.
we
Don't
need
get
deported
started.
to.
I'll
Started.
deport all men.
Don't
Where
get
we
started,
need
started on the
deported
penoids, dude. She'll come after us.
All men are immediately conscripted into the they/them army. We can just weaponize that Navy gaming crew. Just force fem them. Boom. We have a weaponized crew ready to go, boyos.
Let's
Or
go.
girls, I'm sorry.
Theos.
Theos.
Theos. Thank you.
Anyway, penoids.
yeah.
Penoids.
That dropped.
Yeah.
Okay,
Burn the penoids.
Is that it for everybody? Was there
Do I get
anything
the
else?
belt- Do I get the belt now or later? Also, Dylan, what month am I on the calendar?
November.
January.
Oh yeah.
I,
also, CTV
am I
has to be
topless or
July
no?
because of Independence Day. I was gonna
That's
say
a good
that.
point. That's actually a fantastic point.
Do you want me topless or no on the calendar?
Yes.
Topless, of course.
Yeah, but
Okay, good.
more importantly, do you want us bottomless?
You guys have
Yes.
obviously not have seen my.
We're gonna reel this in. We gotta keep this
Yeah.
PG to some extent.